All right. For our little pre-chat stuff and all that jazz.
And Lindsay sent a message saying she was going to be a few minutes late.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Busy woman.
Everybody seems busy these days.
Everybody's just trying to survive late stage capitalism.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds pretty close. Oh yeah. How you doing, Miss MJ?
I'm good. Just getting back to the swing of things, kind of, from the weekend.
Right on.
Spent the day relaxing, sleeping here and there, napping.
That sounds ideal.
I feel like we did that at least one of the 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We camped. We went and celebrated our anniversary and hung out.
Nice.
And like I said, had to recover today. Not as much as norm. Not as much as normally. It'll come down some. I won't be such a party girl after the summer, I guess. Maybe. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Party girl summer.
Spooky girl fall. That's what I'm here for.
How was your vacation?
Oh my God. You mean therapy? Although my body came back completely fucking wrecked. I spent, I would say, 75% of my waking time with my feet in the ocean.
Oh, that is perfect.
Yeah, it's exactly what I wanted. It was nice. The train ride was beautiful, but I should have done it like 10 years ago because I'm still kind of recovering from that.
Really?
36 hours on a train is great. Yeah.
A little tough here and there. But you had your own room, so that had to add to, right?
Yeah, the rooms aren't very big, but it was cool.
Well, yeah, it's on a train.
But yeah, it was me and my mom and then a friend and her mom, and they were in the car, or they were in the roomette right across from us. So we kind of, the four of us, like, moved around and swapped and, you know, all of that fun stuff.
Try to make it comfortable.
So
try to make it as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm still eating my dinner, quote unquote.
Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Tacos.
So last week's episode was pretty short.
Because we weren't there.
The two biggest talkers were gone. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really have to do any editing. I mean, it's like, you know, we had our upfront talk like we're doing now, and we got into the show, and the show itself just was an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm like, wow. I don't have to take anything out.
Yeah. Everybody's probably like, what was going on there? What?
Yeah, I just chopped off the first, whatever it was that we started with. I think it was like 20 minutes that was the upfront part of the show. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The extras that we give the Patreon folk.
Yeah, it was crazy day last week on Tuesday. Lots going on there. We need familiar stuff.
Yeah.
And then we ended up having a guest visit who popped up on us, somebody we hadn't seen in 12 years.
Wow.
And they kind of tricked us and said they were having a FedEx package delivered here. And the whole day they kept coming over, and the boys were home, and the boy was like, but this FedEx person didn't have on a uniform. He was driving his own car. He was like asking people questions like, do they live here? And I was like, what the hell? So I was like, okay, well, I'm ready for this package to get here, for this FedEx guy to get here. So there's like a bang on my door, like just like a police bang. And I was like, oh, this person wants to get cussed all the way out. Okay. So I go to open the door, and it's this big dude standing in front of me, and he starts to like walk through my door. And I was like, babe, and I was like, holy shit. And I just started crying once I realized it was our hubby's fraternity brother, but I really, 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 really did.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So it ended up like, yeah, I just started bawling and, just hugged him really quick. And the boys were like looking like, that's him. That's the FedEx guy. That was it. I was like, yeah, this is your uncle. They hadn't seen him. Deuce hadn't seen him since he was 2. Jackson's never seen him. So it was so funny. I was like, that is like the best gift that I've gotten this year. And I was like, that was a damn good one. You got us. I was like, you got us. 'Cause I was about to cuss you all the way out. Like, you're about to lose your job at FedEx, everything. But yeah, so an eventful week and then our anniversary. So just one of those weeks that remind you of just how blessed you are. And no matter what's going on, on the outside, you
Yeah.
have a lot to be grateful for. And, so especially with being a tough week with losing my cousin past a couple weeks ago. So it was nice to have something, that brought a smile to my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he came in and cooked for us. I had this great, we had this great Haitian meal. It was great. Oh my gosh. Best beans and rice I've ever had in my life.
Was it made of real Haitians?
It was not this time anyway. Not really. We're not one of the Lord of the Flies when they started. Yeah, it wasn't a Lord of the Flies stitch. It wasn't. But it was so good. Let me tell you. I was like, you need to give me that recipe. He was doing a lot of steps there, and I don't really cook like that anymore, so I don't know if I'll ever cook it. But no, I'm kidding. That was really good. Oh my gosh, I'm ashy. I just got out of the shower. Good thing we're not like full body here.
That's next.
You're full of shit.
Oh my.
Yeah, I put a fucking bra on, man. I'm like proud of myself.
Like, that's about it.
Like, you're gonna see me on camera from like here up. I should wear something that isn't,
Well, your name's covering your boobs anyway.
this time.
A nice little, neck, and just be like, look, guys, I do. I have on a bra and here. There we go.
Not me. Oh yeah, look at that. That's some white pasty skin there for you, baby.
Some nice A.5 cups there you got. Are they bees?
Fuck if I know. Bees like balls.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
How's the packing going? Are you guys all done?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, he didn't do shit while I was gone, so the house is where it was a week ago, and I said, I'm still kind of you moved some boxes. I saw that. Yeah, no, I've literally been physically recovering this week. Like, it's taken everything I've had to like get out of bed and get dressed and like do my homework and stuff because I was going into a flare up before this vacation, but like I said, 36 hours on a train, and then sleeping in a bed that, I'm not used to. And, like the ocean was amazing and it was all worth it. Absolutely worth it. But like,
and you guys were going opposite of the fire. So that was good. You guys didn't have to.
We were not, we were close enough that it was affecting, it was like overcast and kind of like hazy, but not, it wasn't bad. And it actually kept most of the people away, so we had the beach like there would be like 5 people on fucking Venice Beach, man. It was so amazing.
Oh wow.
I felt like it felt like those were the days when like locals might go out to it. But there were like hardly any tourists in town, and it was kind of the perfect time for me because my biggest issue was worrying about how many other people were going to be there and making sure my mom was safe and all that.
Venice Beach is a place.
Right. Well, this whole trip was kind of like a what do you call it? Bucket list thing for my mom.
Oh, to be able to go down there?
Yeah, to do the train, to like the last time she took that train trip was the vacation that she and my dad conceived me. Oh. So for her, I know it's and it's kind of adorable. When my dad died, one of the things I found in his stuff was a like pretty dinner menu from that trip. And I'm like, aw, he was still sentimental about that. So, and then for both her and I, like I I've never been able to get into the ocean. I have an issue with temperature regulation. Like it takes me a long time to get used to a big temperature change. Like even getting in the shower can be hard sometimes. It's one of the reasons. But like, you know, I live in Washington. Yeah, I've put my foot in the ocean, but I also pulled it back screaming because it's fucking cold. Or, you know, most of the time when I go in water around here, it's runoff from a mountain. So, right. So this was, you know, this was my first time getting in the ocean somewhere where it was warm enough for me to get in the ocean. And it was like overcast and 75 outside, and the temperature of the water was just perfect. Probably about the same as the air almost.
Probably. Well, that's great though. I know the last time we went down there, we had to like hold the boys tight because it was a lot, and not saying anything, so don't anybody come after me. But it was just a lot more transients, a lot more.
There's a lot of houseless people definitely around there, but
and like that didn't bother me. The ones that you could tell that were there because that's where they had to go. You know what I'm saying? But then there were just like people that I was like, come closer, little boy. You know, just more. Huh? Oh, sorry. Somebody was asking.
No worries.
My bad.
Well, I hope Lindsay's cat's okay. I don't know if that's the issue. She was having some
happened
issues
last time.
Yeah, she was having some. Her cat was throwing up.
Oh, I said something about clients.
Oh, maybe it's.
I think this one was a client thing. Yeah.
Oh, is that
yeah, yeah. Which would explain. She said 10 minutes, but clients don't. She can be like, "Well, I give you 10 minutes starting now." So
you get what I give you,
right? Be happy with it.
Yeah, it was. I think another part of why I liked it so much, not just the fact that it was mostly locals and you could tell, but just in general, like we went to a restaurant on the Cantina, and we had all of this leftover food, and it was our last day, and we're like, we don't know what to do with this, and we'd been talking with the wait staff and everything because it was our last day there, and we were having fun or whatever, and I just kind of was like, hey, is there anyone that you know of around here that could benefit from She's like, oh yeah, if you just walk like a block that way, pretty much anybody would love you for whatever you want to give them, because those are the ones who actually like live on the streets out here and not are just like, the kids trying to camp on the beach illegally and shit. Because there's a lot of that, which is
yeah, we saw a lot of that. We were there pre-pandemic, and it was still a lot going on. So hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was pre-pandemic that was going on, but it was still, like I said, the boys were like, "Oh, it has a certain aroma." That's what the 70-year-old was saying. He was a little more astute to it. Jax was just like, "Ooh, skateboarders," and
oh yeah,
and then I was like, "Wow, there is a weed doctor every other store." I was like, "That's cool." I wasn't mad at that. I mean, I already had my card. And it was funny that there were so many because you really didn't need to have a car during this time. Like things were still, they're recreational at this point. So I just thought that was funny. I was like, those will be turning into dispensaries soon enough. So I'm not sure how many are down there, but yeah, we actually the little one asked to go there when we go next month. We're going down to LA. So yes,
yeah, we're gonna try and make a like annual trip of at least going down to that general area, because I know Dean won't move there. So
no, he doesn't want to be in Cali.
Fuck no. Yeah,
Even
if we never go anywhere near LA, even if you never leave the fucking house, someone
asked me why I wouldn't go, and I said I'd rather pound my balls flat with a wooden hammer.
Oh my god!
Now, to be fair, he's said that a number of times. To be fair, though, like
California.
when I was down there, I got to see some friends who I haven't seen in a long time. An old friend from roller derby and an old friend from high school both live within like 20 minutes of where we were staying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was joking with them that, my husband would never move down there. And they're like, oh, yeah, why? It's like, oh, he lived down here for like 15 years. And they're like, oh, but LA has changed since then. I'm like, no, he lived in Orange County. And they're like, oh,
Like,
yeah, I
totally
get
got
that.
it.
I told that man.
Yeah.
Okay.
That hasn't changed much.
They were all like,
That
no.
I mean, LA's probably worse, actually. So
Yeah.
I mean, LA is terrible. I hate LA, but I have the beach, man.
Well, so yeah, if you want to live on the beach, you either have to be homeless or have billions of dollars.
I wouldn't say billions. There was a very nice lady who lived in the house next to our Airbnb.
How old was she?
Who was a divorcee who now spent her days surfing and walking her dog on the beach.
How old was she?
Maybe a few years older than me.
Oh, okay. Well, I wonder because here's the thing.
But she literally was like,
what was the proposition that's been? I don't know if it's ever been voted out, but there was a proposition that was voted on, like before I even moved to California, that kept property taxes from being increased. Once you bought the house, you buy the house, and your property taxes were always that. So. If you bought a house in 1987 and you were paying $500 a year for property taxes, you're paying that now.
Yeah, most of those people out there did not own that house back then. Like most of the people that we met down there were people who were staying in Airbnbs or like people who worked for celebrities. There were houses for sale in that Venice area where the canals and everything are. That went from 1.4 million to 14 million.
For tiny places.
No,
My mom lives in Northern California. Her property
for 2,000
taxes
square
gone up.
feet.
So that would have to just be Orange County that even proposition was going for. It wasn't all of California.
Well, it may have also been changed or repealed since then. So,
well, I think there's a lady that we met at the resort, and she's an older lady, and it's very clear. Like I don't know, her aura is very, I don't want to say old money, but her and her hubby probably made their money, at a time when the economy wasn't as what it is now. So it was easier for her to do so. But I do recall I was ear hustling one day. Everybody's laying by the pool. She's like 2 rows in front of me. Actually, she was right in front of me because I was listening to her talk about everybody. It was so funny. But I remember her mentioning something about like how their land was still the same, and how when they tried to sell it, they weren't taking into account of something about the property taxes and how great they are or something. So I do recall something of that sort, and it may be that general area, maybe like Laguna Beach, Orange County, that type of area. I know they have open carry there, and the rest of California does not. So
okay, so this is what it is, that that the maximum amount of any ad valorem tax on real estate property should not exceed 1% of the full cash value of such property.
that's still pretty damn good, though.
Yeah, and that was put into law in 1978 and has not been changed, which is why a lot of folks who bought the property, when they're not paying a lot of property tax, which is why a lot of California public schools struggle.
Well, facts there, because that's where part of where we're supposed to get the money to those schools.
Exactly.
Through those taxes and everything. Well, yeah, we're getting ready to go through a recall.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not.
I saw a lot of that when I was down there. Like,
I'm for Newsom. I'm so very, very happy and pleased to say I've been okay with what he's done. I think that he reacted expeditiously and on time when he needed to when this pandemic happened.
And didn't all this shit start before the pandemic? Like they had already started trying to get him recalled before that, and it was because of the pandemic that people were like, "Oh, all of this must be his fault." Like that's how I kind of understood it.
Right up until then, everywhere I went, we were just inundated when it started during the pandemic with people being like, "Do you want to sign this?" I'm like, "No, get that shit out of my face. I do not. I'm happy where I'm able. My kids still have their education. Like the school districts they were in. I mean, he helped to facilitate being able to give kids Chromebooks if they didn't have access at home. He helped to facilitate Xfinity, who, if anybody knows anything about Xfinity, when do they ever give free or reduced internet. Never. So
Hmm.
he helped to be able to facilitate those things. And I know then the federal government got involved because, like right now, I can get internet for $9 because the federal government is paying for the rest of it. And I'm like, thank you. So that's
Wow.
something they did. But like I said, I'm pleased with what he did. I think that it was smart for him to keep the sports, to keep the youth sports at bay when he did. Um, I think everything was done in his best interest, and he's not a magician. He can't just like look at his crystal ball and go, "Well, this is when." Like
Hmm.
for certain people of less melanin, we'll say,
The pale
um,
persuasion.
yeah, yeah, they're the main ones. Other people that are fantastic producer here. No, people here in California, like they really just have this entitlement privilege, that they feel like it gives them a right to be mad because he was at a dinner when other
Yeah,
restaurants
that's
are closed.
right.
But my thing is, do you guys have the money to go to what is it called? Not French Laundry. I was gonna call it Dirty Laundry. French Laundry. I don't think you do. And oh, and then it comes out, oh, he owns wineries and his winery's still going. But it wasn't where it was people like interacting or like he had the workers. Actually, it was still the workers because he didn't want to lay off the people that needed the jobs the most. So it was the people that were,
Hmm.
harvesting and doing all that good stuff. But took COVID precautions. Like I said, what he does to be able to get his paychecks have nothing to do with me as long as it's not hurting the citizens of California and he wasn't taking from us and doing anything underhanded politically wise. So the guy that is his main component
Oh, Larry
opponent.
Elder, is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
Larry
God, he
Elder.
scares the shit out of me.
yeah. See, I don't get a good vibe. I go get and then he has like
Right? I get like
domestic abuse
creepy
charges and
pastor, like,
here and yeah, yeah,
ugh.
yeah. And so I'm just like, my son's like, our oldest is like, yay, black person. That's what we're voting for. I said, no, 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 no. Let's get this.
Mm.
Let's get this. It was just time for him, to teach him that aspect. So we broke
Yep.
it down and we said, when Obama came into place, 18 months before, when everything started, I was like, tell me something. I wasn't like automatically because he was a black man, was going to be very happy and was very proud that he did, end up being something that was what this country needed. But it wasn't because he was just black. Like, I need to hear more, I need
Hmm.
to know more. And this guy, Larry Elder, is a prime example of that and why I will be sticking with my newbie, like I call them.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it may as well be Uncle Ruckus. So
Yeah.
That facts, right? Facts. I mean, plus, Newsom's trying to give everybody another like $1,100 because we're in a 12 billion or $18 billion surplus. How are you guys mad at him when we're at an $18 billion surplus? Like, that's what you guys are usually mad about when we're in a deficit, not
Hmm.
when the state is doing well, you know? So I'm not mad. I'm waiting on my check. Even if I wasn't getting one, I would still be very happy with him. But yeah, so that's what's going on. That's the whole, like you said, I'm sure you saw nothing but billboards, commercials, because
Oh
that's all
God,
it is right now.
there was one way or another. There was a commercial. Like I didn't watch. I only had the TV on literally for maybe like 45 minutes the entire week,
Well, yeah.
which was
That's
fucking
beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
And that was just because I wanted to catch up on the news. It was like midweek. I didn't want to like, yeah. Anyway,
Not
uh,
know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
but like in that like 45 minutes that I actually had the TV on, I probably saw 6 or 7 different commercials
Oh,
that
yeah.
were all in different, like some were for the recall and then some one of the many candidates, or it
Uh-huh.
would be,
Right.
vote
Exactly.
no on the recall,
Way too many candidates. And that's what's bothering me is that's our tax money. So if you guys are
Hmm.
so mad about shit and him getting to do this, like where's the line drawn? Like you're so contradictory. Like you get mad about what he's doing and it affected you, your income, and affected your kids, and blah 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 blah. But now you guys are okay with having 41 freaking candidates, and all of that is our tax money. Like this whole recall, that's our tax money,
Hmm.
guys. Like we're paying for that. And there's people that are living once again on the side of the freeway. But you guys would rather
Hmm.
be concerned with bringing in another governor at this point. Um, yeah, that drives me bananas. So, but what are we gonna do? I can only do what I do, and shit. I guess we should know because I don't even know the date that the election is. Maybe I should know that. I know it's a couple weeks. We got our little ballot things, but other than that, I don't know. So, my nails look good on camera. Sorry.
Oh, I just texted her. Let's see. Lindsay.
Hey,
Hey,
Hello.
hello, beautiful.
I put on makeup for sure, but I also lost my sleepy meds, and I was like, oh shit, if I don't find
Hey,
Girls,
don't fucking cuss on here.
Like,
That's not ladylike at
especially
all.
while I'm fucking medicating on.
Oh man, I'm kind of mad at myself for leaving mine in the other room.
I was
girl
gonna say,
now.
did you visit any and get any nice California medicine? While you
I
were
actually didn't. I had my own weed the whole time.
out? Are you okay?
I didn't. I mean, honestly, I went into like 2 restaurants to order meals and ate outside, and like went into one shop, and everything else was the beach or like sitting in the front yard of the Airbnb where I could hear the ocean, or yeah.
Well, that's okay. Well, we're gonna have a girls trip, obviously. Cause
Oh hell yeah!
Uh,
He won't come.
a girl and
He might visit Northern California.
well, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that.
Northern Cal, anything north of say the Bay area would be fine. So where there's there's
Uh-oh.
The
What
Bay
about
Area
Bay
is
Area?
Northern California, though. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong
What
with the
about Bay Area?
See, there goes Tubby. There goes
It's-
Tubby. I could wait. He was turning.
I
around.
like
Are
Bay
there- are
Area.
there lots of
Don't
people-
include
how-
There
San
are lots of
Francisco as
people.
all of the Bay Area.
all of it. I include all of it. Anything where there's lots of people there and there's traffic, I include in that area. So
That's California. Sacramento has traffic now. There's
Yeah.
second people
Okay,
in
so-
Sacramento.
bad.
all right, so that cinches that I'm not going.
There he goes. I'm not coming. There you go. There we go.
He could go to like Redding or Eureka,
Yeah.
Ukai.
Wairika.
We'll send you up there where
You know
where
what?
you'll be like,
Just
"Please come get
you can send me out to Big Bear. I'll be fine with that.
me." Okay, Big Bear.
I could do Big Bear.
Big Bear is nice.
Or Yosemite, where people keep coming up missing and dying.
It's crazy.
Hey,
Listen,
don't talk about my my side job.
I was gonna say we live in like the serial killer capital of the country, so
really.
oh yeah,
You got
oh
Ted-
yeah, Pacific
Ted-
Northwest.
Ted Bundy, the Green River Killer.
BTK
wow,
was that
BTK.
general area, although he's Wichita, Kansas. No, that's the wrong one.
BTK was Kansas.
Now I got it. But yeah, like there was something about per capita. And I just did a thing I haven't done in a really long time, and I apologize to my husband, who has done everything in his power to make me never do that again.
She used to have a habit of
Oh
hitting.
my god. I talk with my hand. This is actually why now I sit all the way back, because I talk with my hands and I try and keep this where I won't hit the arm or anything. Yeah, because
Oh, I do all the
I'm a
time.
mess.
Oh, no, you should see if you guys haven't seen. I know Lindsay, you watch live, but I talk with my hands a lot, and so I'll do the same thing. I'll emphasize and I'll hit the table, and I'll be like, "Stop that!"
She hits the table.
I think I used to give you those same looks that I would get from the person that I was in a band with.
Yeah.
You can't help it when you speak with your hands. So I wanted to ask you guys if do you guys like, or can you handle? Do you like hot
Yes.
or very spicy
Yes.
things?
Yes.
No.
He will ask them to give him a non-white guy 5.
I say, well, it's kind of like we've been watching Ted Lasso, which is incredible. But
Oh my
is
god,
it-
that is the wholesome content I desperately fucking
but,
needed.
Yeah, there's a part where they're in an Indian restaurant, and he tells the guy, "Make it like I'm part of the family." And he's sitting there, he's sitting there eating it. He's like, "Oh, this is hot,"
But he keeps eating it because that's
because
that's
he wants to be polite.
but yeah, that would be Dean, but he probably wouldn't be complaining about it at all.
I do the same thing in Thai food. You know, when I go to Thai food
Yep.
restaurants, they'll be
Yep,
like,
yep.
how hot? And I'm like, Thai hot. And they're like, Thai hot. I'm like, that's what I said. Thai hot. Make it like you would eat it, you know? And I've actually challenged some people like, I don't eat it hot. Like, they're like, I'm the mildest ever, some of the workers there. But so the reason why I ask, so I will challenge you, Dean, to, have you seen that, Lindsay?
What is it?
This is a Pocky one chip challenge.
Oh.
Shit.
Yes. So
Okay.
I give you guys give you something to go YouTube and watch a few of the things. But yes, so this will be my 3rd year doing it.
All right.
First year, it's cool. Second, and I did the whole rest of my podcast. I do them during the podcast live. I did the rest of my podcast 2 hours, like nothing. Last year, so I did it on my year anniversary, and I was already drinking Tito's, and then I had a big old cup of Tito's, right? So I'm drinking it, talking shit. Our guests, I had live guests here at my home studio, my living room. No, I don't want to sound too bougie, guys. It is literally my living room. So we're drinking, we're medicating, we're doing all the fun stuff. We do it. We're all like, the first 5 minutes, and hubby says I lasted maybe 10, right? Before I say it was like more like 15, 20, but regardless, I was like, oh, I have to use the restroom. So my friend who is a rapper, and I was like, you know what? You go ahead and take over, talk to the people, do whatever. I thought I was just going to the restroom. I end up in the shower, fully clothed, with the water running down on me. I had the worst. It felt like something was just burying its way out of my stomach from the inside. Like it was so painful. I was sweating. I was yelling, and Julian's or hubby, sorry, hubby. Hubby was like, "Stop yelling! They can hear you." I was like, "I don't care. I'm gonna die." It was the worst ever. Now I am gonna chalk it up to lots of Tito's. So I challenge you. I have 7 boxes. So you could be one. I will send it to you in the mail.
I'll do it.
And then
Yeah, he will absolutely.
I'll definitely do it.
So we'll do a live on a future episode. So last year it was this ghost pepper or Carolina pepper, right? Carolina Reaper. So I still have.
You've had that one, right?
I don't know if I've had the Carolina Reaper. I've had the ghost chili pepper.
I've had the ghost chili pepper.
Yeah.
Like that's more than I would ever want to do again. But
this one from last year, as you notice, they come in coffins. So I still have a few boxes from last year. So I'm really trying to get like.
So it's just a chip.
Yeah, so it's just a chip. That one was black, like black. Okay? Like you open, you're like, whoa, what is this? And you have to don't do it like the cheaters that I've been seeing, and they like take a bite and then they take another bite and they eat it. It's one bite. You're supposed to put the whole chip in.
Oh yeah.
Chew it, swallow it, do the whole thing.
Yeah.
You wait 5 minutes.
It sounds terrifying.
Yank the Band-Aid.
Yeah. So it has different levels of like, the challenge. So if you do it 5 minutes, it's like you're a pussy basically. If you get to like 15, it's like you're cool. You get to an hour, it's like you're a champ. That's what last year's was. But yeah, that's what it comes in. And that's exactly the color of the chip.
All right.
So that'll be last year's. But this is this year. So I'm going to send you one of this year's. And then we'll do it. I'm thinking because end of so yeah, probably like the first couple weeks of October episode. I have don't forget everybody, I'm speaking at the Woman in Cannabis Expo. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
There you go. There it is.
All right, so I need to correct myself real quick. So the Pacific Northwest has some of the most prolific ones. You got Ted Bundy, Gary Ridgway, Wesley Allen Dodd, which was who I was trying to think of earlier. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but I remember that one from my childhood. Preyed on little boys, murdered in prison. But there's also a statistic in the Pacific Northwest that 7 out of every million people will be murdered by a serial killer.
Oh my God.
But for the record, California has the most on-record serial killers.
Really? So we just found out, I don't know if I told you guys 2 weeks ago or not, but I watched this guy named Mr. Ballin.
Love him.
Oh my God. Love him so much. Look, I could literally watch 4 or 5 of his episodes in a day, but then the day would be gone. Because he's such a good storyteller.
She does
who
watch
is this?
4 or 5 episodes.
Same. He's all I watch now. Mr. Ballin.
Ballin.
Mr. Ballen. He is like a storyteller from the
Right?
gods. He
Right?
could read
Like
the macaroni box and we'd be like,
yeah, seriously. He could read the Suave shampoo bottle and you'd be like, wow, that is some great shampoo.
He tells a story, and the whole time you're supposed to be watching for like some little secret thing that's in the episode. But every time we're like, who's looking for anything in the episode when we're paying attention
Yeah.
to the story that you're telling?
'Cause
Like
he's
he
so
has you just
enthralled.
drawn in.
Yeah, he's so good. He was a Navy SEAL, and he was discharged, medically discharged, honorably medically discharged, and he was always interested in like, people that got unsolved mysteries and just different like crazy stories. And so he started doing them on TikTok. But I am so happy he moved over to YouTube because I feel like he probably has a bigger audience. And I know I wouldn't have found him because I, not on TikTok all the time. But he easily, each episode or, that I've watched, he's easily over 2 million views, like easy. But he's the greatest ever. But I'm watching him one night and he's talking about, oh my gosh, it was the 3 moms. I think we talked about it. I'm sorry. It was the mom and the 2 daughters that went to Yosemite.
Mom, a daughter, and her friend.
Yeah.
They were in Yosemite.
There you go. I said 2 daughters. You know what I meant. And their name is like on the tip of my tongue, but it won't come up right now. Probably too medicated. But so they went to UOP for the daughter to like tour it, and then they decided we're gonna go to Yosemite. So they went to Yosemite and went missing, and they ended up finding Carrie Stainer, finding out that he was the one who did it. Well, while he was telling the episode, all of a sudden, the moniker of the resort that we go to so often flashes across the screen because that's where they found him. Like he was there. Yes. And then we find out that there's been 3 murderers that have gone and like there. One was like living there for like a year or some crazy shit like that.
For him, for Stainer, they said he was found at his favorite nudist resort having lunch.
Yeah. And all of a sudden the screen it pops up and I was like, holy shit. And hubby was asleep. So I was like, oh my God. So I had to make sure that it was in my history so I could show him immediately the next day. But so I'm going back and I'm talking to people. They're like, oh yeah. So he was in the lounge eating and somebody recognized him. And so we were like, we'll keep him here. And so they just like kept bringing him food and like talking to him and like give him a couple drinks or whatever. So they like kept him there until the cops got there. And yeah, so I was like crazy. And they're like, and then there was 2 more. I was like, wait, don't stop. Already paid my membership. Please.
And then we also found out this weekend that Stainer, the dude circle that got there, his little brother had been kidnapped and
Oh yeah,
molested and murdered. So that was kind of a crazy coincidence that happened to his little brother, and then he ended up becoming the same thing.
Which is probably
and wasn't that that was a thing too? God damn it! Wasn't there like a TV movie? Yeah, I know my first name is Steven. Yes,
that's what it is. Yeah,
that was from the 80s. I remember that.
Yeah.
Dean remembers it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, it might have been. Now that I think about it, that's his last name. Oh, holy shit. I look it up real quick before I do this. But so that's crazy. So back, to the 80s, wouldn't it be so great if there was still like after school specials and the 80s? Because I remember I learned a lot. I learned about bulimia and anorexia from an after school special. I learned about homelessness and then the opportunity to have like housing and shelter to rehab the people. I totally remember one that just stuck out to me. This guy was really wanting to ask his girl to prom. And, he was so embarrassed because he lived in their in their station wagon. And somebody found out that is
a 1989 American television miniseries about kidnapped victim Steven Stainer.
Oh my gosh.
I love the weird crap that my brain somehow remembers sometimes.
Crazy. I feel like I should message Mr. Ballin and be like, you should now.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
And connect it to the other one. Yeah. But Lindsay, I'm so happy somebody else knows because whenever we tell them, they're like, okay, I don't know who that is. But
Fools.
he's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who Mr. Ballin is, but I have been a true crime addict since practically birth.
Good.
Like, I mean, growing up in Seattle in the 80s, like we're talking, I was alive during like, okay. I worked down in the U District and I worked at this preschool that was in the basement of a church, right?
Uh-huh.
So behind the church, there is an alleyway that goes up against a lot of student housing. Ted Bundy found 2 of his victims there.
Oh my God.
Down the street and around the corner, there's a college pub that I used to go to when I was like, 21, 22. Yeah, that was a regular place where Ted Bundy would hang out.
Shut up.
There
I think that
was
that movie. I think
the
movie.
one that like really kind of when I was a kid, like, got to me was was when I found out about like because Ted Bundy tried to present himself as like this very like upstanding citizen, like he studied the
Yeah.
law and he was a young Republican and all that shit. Like he was in the news once for stopping a purse snatcher at a mall, which is 3 blocks from my house. So like there was that, like knowing all of these things.
You could be one of those people that give tours about
Oh no. Serial
and
killers in
neighborhood.
Seattle.
Yeah, there's hey, people like
Well, and a lot of that knowledge just literally comes from living in Seattle and from moving around the city and like the thing about the was it what the fuck was it called? Was it Dante's? God damn it, I think it was Dante's, but I might be wrong on that. It's closed now. No, I'm not talking about the Portland one, honey.
Okay. That's the only Dante's I know.
No, it was a college pub down by the U District. I want to say it was Dante's. I might be wrong about the name. It's been quite a few years since I've been over there. But yeah, like the Wesley Allen Dodd thing was during my actual like memory. I became a true crime fan because my dad watched the news every single night, and that was what I learned about on the news every single night was serial killers. Green River Killer was active throughout most of my childhood. And Anne Rule, who
like the Night Stalker. That's like that was a big one.
Right, down in California. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he like went from LA, he went to the Bay, like
the Golden State. So the original, because there were 2 Night Stalkers, right? There was the original Night Stalker who was also the Golden State Killer, right?
Right.
And then the other Night Stalker was Richard Ramirez.
Yeah, Richard Ramirez. Yeah, he scared the shit. And then also the Zodiac. Like it was always like my mom would be like, we would go out for Halloween, and I was like, why are you telling me this? She's like, remember the Zodiac killer? I'm like, you are more scary than I am. Why would you say that? Because they still don't know, who it was. So I was just like, well, why? I don't want to go trick or treating. But I remember saying that because we were in the Bay, East Bay, and he had done some things like right in Concord. I think is like where he did some things and just all over basically. But it's funny how interesting those things are to me because he'll tell stories about some of my worst fears, like being out. Like this is part of the reason you will never find me have a house where like I have no window coverings or like I have big, floor to ceiling type windows where people could be looking in and I cannot see them. And that's the type of shit like Mr. Ballin talks about those stories all the time. But he also tells stories about some parts of this country, they're just like where people just disappear. And like numerous amounts, like hundreds of people, they're these hiking places and just different places that people go. And I'm like, why? Like you guys don't know the history? But yeah, some of the stuff is, I mean, if you really want to look at it, I guess the history of our country and things like that is very interesting, but also a little scary, a little unnerving, and plenty. Because let me tell you, Mr. Ballin, he never seems to run out of stories. Yeah. So,
yeah.
It's like old Joe Kenda.
You guys should definitely start watching. He's good.
Yeah, Tiara used to watch Joe Kenda all the time. She had a crush on him.
I did. And then I had to justify the whole all cops are bad with my obsession with the TV detective who, probably roughed up a few people illegally back in the day because he was a cop in the 70s, 80s, 90s. But yeah, anyway.
I like Shalacy from 48 Hours. Did you guys ever watch that?
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Or it's 48. I'm sorry. I said
48.
Yeah. Yeah, Shalacy from back in the day, he was like partners with the black lady. You know what I meant though. You knew what I meant. But yeah, he was hard ass. Like I would talk to him. Like I'd be like, he got our back though. We can go ahead and let him know what's the lowdown. Shalacy was hardcore though, but everybody told Shalacy whatever he wanted to know. They'd be like, "Oh shit, Shalacy's coming." All right. We
It was
gotta
like,
chill. But
yeah, Kendo would sit there and tell story. I mean, without, I
He
mean,
had great recall.
Oh,
Like that was,
man.
yeah. It felt so. Watching that show, it wasn't. I didn't watch it for the reenactments. I literally watched it because this guy who comes off as this very gruff, old, basically exactly what you imagine when you think of a retired detective from like the 70s, right? And he's sitting there and he has such good recall, especially the anything about kids. And he interwove his own life and like bringing up his kids during this time. And like, I don't know, there's just something about, it's almost like sitting at your grandfather's foot and he's telling you a story about his life kind of feeling, and that's why I watched it. I it's weird to even say it because seriously, like if I see a cop on the street, my heart starts beating faster and I try very carefully to walk the different way.
oh,
But
especially now. I mean,
Right.
it's so different. But I think the big difference is there were definitely more police officers back then that knew the neighborhood, knew
Mhm.
people in the
They
neighborhood.
lived in the neighborhood they worked in, so
Yeah,
they knew the
yeah.
people. Yeah.
Usually
That's
knew
a
the
lot of his
matriarch
stuff.
the neighborhood, so you
Mhm.
would go and sit, and she would feed you and bring you some lemonade or whatever else, and you'd kind of be able to, I think back then, get through like the matriarch or the patriarch of the neighborhood to be able to
Mhm.
get what you needed to get done. Like such and such, they're saying that they did this, and that shit I think would be resolved before that officer got to his car, got to the end of the block. I mean, at least that's what my grandma, like my mom and aunts and stuff tell me that's what their relationship was. And then it kind of changed in the 70s with the Black Panthers, and when people started having more of an opinion and wanting to see certain things change, that's when it started to tear at the seams. And then of course you bring in how the drugs were brought into all the Black neighborhoods, then that's a whole
Mhm.
nother thing. There's another crack, and as we know where we are now. So it's crazy because I would say it's probably been one in the last 30 years, 40, probably 40 years that it's changed drastically. Um, like I said,
Yeah.
there was always fizzers, and there was always problems. Go back to civil rights time and whatnot. But like I said, when you have that one cop that lived in the neighborhood, or the couple of cops that lived in the neighborhood and knew the people, and tried to take care of things from inside out, that was probably a little bit more successful time, at least in the relationships between citizens and
Yeah.
coppers, like they used to call them back in the day.
We lived down the street so let's see. I don't have a lot of actual memories because this was kind of in that before I had memories time.
Mhm.
But there was a former police chief that lived down the street from us, like 3 blocks. So like I grew up with the neighborhood cop, basically, right? Like
Yeah.
he retired. I don't know how old I was. I have some flashes of memory of actually like, getting the siren to go and, that kind of shit that cops do with kids to kind of like, buddy up with them. So like
Yeah.
I remember that. So I know that he was actively a police officer in my lifetime.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, he was always ancient to me because, I was like 5. So, but I think it really felt like a before and after in this city, in this neighborhood, with like before that particular family, retired from the force versus after, where 90% of the cops that patrol around here don't live anywhere near here and probably live over in Bellevue, because they're making $150,000 a year, which is almost, more than twice as much as the next average person in my neighborhood.
Yeah. I know there was a statistic that said something about 30 or 40% of police officers, and that's probably a low number, but
It
they
was
travel
60
at
in
least,
Portland.
yeah,
Mhm.
but they travel 30 miles or more,
Mhm.
and that's one way because they're
Yep.
coming from so far out, which is ridiculous. I mean, I feel
Gives
like there's
them no
checks and
connection.
balances. Yeah, there's checks and balances that can be created to try to alleviate that and bring it a little more back to normal. You know, um,
In the neighborhoods that they're patrolling in, the people are taught not to be cops and not to be friends with cops because the
Mhm.
cops keep coming in there and
Yeah.
doing the
Mhm.
things to them. So not gonna get anybody from that neighborhood.
Yeah, actual
And the one
factual
or two that you do get, then they end up leaving for better pay or something.
and better pay. Yeah, and I think those that do, they're because they usually come from a family of I think, people that have been in the law, some way, somehow. But yeah, that's true. Then they have to go where there's the money, because you have a quality of life and you have a family to take care of. So it's shitty, you know. It feels like it should be so easy, like, but like common sense isn't common to everybody. I guess,
Yeah.
having common courtesy and being, that's not common either. So
Yeah, and unfortunately, that whole common courtesy thing, it goes out the window because the perception by a lot of people that God, I don't even know how I'm trying to form my what I'm thinking around this, but like, cops, at least in my experience and my own personal experience, aside from that particular one from my like very early childhood,
Mhm.
they have no interest in who you are as a person. They are, if they actually do care about you as a person, they have nothing that they can actually do to actually do anything to help prevent things from happening.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them get, what's the word? They just, I don't know, they lose a little bit of their humanity or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
1000%.
yeah. So you don't, you nowadays you get a cop walking into a bar who, looks around threateningly. Is there anybody who's going out of line? Okay, I'm going to walk around security of this building because, we saw a suspicious character, but it might not just actually be somebody who's just walking home, but it doesn't matter because, like it's all about intimidation and,
Yeah.
control and power now.
That's
And
exactly what it is. Like you said, control and power.
yeah.
And that's why so many people go, "Oh, were you beat up in high school? Were you the nerd?" You know what I'm saying? Because that's, I think, so many people's response are like, you want to portray this power that you've never had, or control that you've never had any other time in your life.
Not
So it's like so many people.
most of the cops that I've known in my lifetime were definitely not people like me who were getting picked on. They are the ones that were doing the picking, and they chose that job so they can continue having that kind of power over people.
Yeah,
Like,
I think the ones that like I said before, like told the story before, is I was always like, cops are here to protect and serve type thing. And it's
mhm.
what I learned, and they'd come to the assemblies and it was like all great. But I, remember telling you my first summer in Davis, when the cop pulled us over, he was like, "You guys go to school here? How is that possible? What's going on?"
Yeah,
That type of shit.
that's right.
And he definitely was the fucking little shit in college, like high school, like the one that got picked on and the one that tried to be cool, but nobody took him seriously. Like he just his whole thing, like it was all of his just energy. That's exactly what it said. And then we end up finding out that that was the case for a lot of the cops in
Hmm.
Davis. So I think a lot of their behavior was they were jealous because they see a bunch of college kids and they're doing stuff that
Right.
they never got to do. So yeah, it's not, maybe not a hugely common thing, but I do know like it is something that a lot of people will say. I don't want to say to antagonize, somebody that is really abusing their authority. Um, so that's kind of where it comes from. But you're right on the other hand, because you definitely see the ones that are like, well, I was the big college jock, and I ran everything, and then my life didn't end up the way that I wanted to. So
High
now,
school were the best days of my life.
yeah,
Sorry to anybody out there who sure for.
which is when people say that, I go, that's so sad.
Right.
High school is fun, but I'm like, that is so sad because there's so much more.
Yeah.
So much more than that. I had fun, but I've definitely had more fun being an adult and developing the relationships that I have now. I think when people say that, they're stunted in their maturity and their growth. Because you start to realize that, yeah, that was fun, but the relationships that you build, I think in your 20s and like college and whatnot, those are the people that really know you, because that's when you're really becoming who you are. You're not doing that in high school. You're just going with the flow. You're easily labeled and you're okay with that. You're a cheerleader, you're this or that, and you just fall into that, into that category. Whereas in adult life, I wouldn't want anybody to just go ahead and categorize me and stereotype me like that, because like I said, the ones that really know me, they know that, you're fully faceted, you're multi-layered, and they love every fucked up or awesome part of you. You don't get that in high school, which is why a lot of people aren't friends, within 5 years of high school, I think. And that's not, a studied statistic or anything. That's just guess. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Lindsay? Like, is that something, because you're from East Coast, I'm sure cops are cops everywhere. But like, what was your experience? Did you kind of have that one in
Um,
the neighborhood that was cool, or that did you kind
we
of have the same experience we did?
we didn't have cops in the neighborhood. And I don't know if it's like a generational thing or whatever. Like they were around because I grew up one street away from like what was then the drug district of
Uh,
Rochester. And on the other side was the suburbs. Like my sister always
okay.
describes it. It was that fork in the road in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Go this way for the ghetto, go this way for the suburbs. So the cops weren't really around. Like they didn't, there was no foot patrol. If you went downtown, yes. But like, and I went to private school, like my siblings went to public. So they knew cops who were always there in the public schools. But and I was also raised by, parents from backwoods, Alabama, pre-segregation, all that kind of
Mhm,
stuff. Or, I'm sorry, when
mhm,
segregation
mhm.
was still going on. So I was always taught, little bitch, when you see a cop, you keep your head down, you show respect, and get away from them as fast as you can. Like
Yeah,
that's what you're
Mm-hmm.
taught. Like just, I'm not
there's
here.
no
You
other way.
can't even see me. But
Yeah,
having grown up in the manner I grew up in, now I can say there are cops who have known my family because they were frequenting my house so much and knew the situation that was going on, and they were very kind and sympathetic and understanding to that situation. Thank God for those people and how they conducted themselves. But nothing changes my ACAB feelings. You can be a wonderful person, but if you're part of the cops, you're part of a shit organization, even if you're
Yeah.
a wonderful person. So sorry,
yeah,
not sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what it comes down to, and how the attitude has to it essentially had to change. Like it's the institution itself that is corrupt. It's not that the individual people are bastards. It's that if you buy into this idea that this that this power trip is good for you and that it's okay that you don't interact with these people in any way that makes them human to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you're gonna buy into that shit, you're done. That you don't have my sympathy.
Who was
Well,
So
that's
Pope
kind of
before Charles, or the guy now?
who was what?
Who was Pope before
Oh,
our current Pope? Renfield, something
yeah,
like
it was
that.
the Ratzenberger or something. It
I
was
don't know
something that.
either.
think
But
I was.
wasn't he part of Hitler Youth? None of us, and he was the
Yes,
fucking Pope. None of us are out here like,
yes.
I guess maybe Hitler Youth weren't all bad. No, we know a lot of kids were forced
Are
into
you
that shit.
Yes.
serious?
But
Oh yeah.
yes,
But that was compulsory. That for kids back then, okay. Have you ever seen the movie Swing Kids?
mm-mm.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So long ago,
So
but
the whole point of that is that they're going to be forced to become Hitler Youth if they get caught doing this thing that is against the rules by the Nazis.
wow.
So like that was not a choice for a lot of those kids, especially when you're really young and your parents are the ones who are pushing you into it. So I will give him that.
Right. I mean, I'm
I
pretty sure
never
like
knew
it
that.
was mandatory, I think, for certain boys of a
I
certain
think so.
age.
Yeah.
But we still don't run around and say Hitler Youth weren't so bad.
Right.
No, lots of wonderful people, I'm sure, were forced into that shit and taught a lot of bullshit they didn't believe. But we're still not out here saying, those good Hitler Youth, bless their hearts.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly that. It's like the good SS officer. Oh, well, that SS officer saved, 17 Jews from the death camps because he got them smuggled up. Blah, blah. Okay, so what about the other, I don't know, 6 million?
Right.
Like you were still
Yeah.
participating in this in a way that obviously, like, you didn't fight back. You didn't kill other Nazis. You didn't. I mean, you got a few people out. Cool. Good for you. Good for your conscience. Hi, puppy.
Go. Wanted to come join? No, wow. I've learned so much. Boom, mind blown. Learned so much here. So, oh yeah, you got him up, babe?
What's the current one?
Oh, it's the current one.
I swear, like, rat was in the name. I know that sounds terrible to say, but it's something like that.
I mean, now that
My mom is a recovering Catholic. Okay, let me say that differently. My mom chose to convert to Catholicism as an adult, but she is not actually religious, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's...
No, I'm right there.
So Oh, he went by Pope John Paul, but that's obviously not his real name.
Wait, but John
No.
Paul was like,
That was when I was a kid.
yeah, that was my nigga. I used to love that nigga. But I was young and also a Catholic, so.
Benedict. It was
Yeah.
Benedict.
It says Pope John Paul II, and also was the predecessor of Pope Francis, and Pope Francis is the one now.
Well,
Pope
Benedict
John
was
Paul
in
II.
between.
Pope
Benedict was in
Pope-
between. He was the one that retired instead of dying.
Yes.
Pope Benedict,
yeah.
let's hear 5, 15, 16. Pope Benedict 16 and John Paul II are the same thing. On what this screen I'm seeing is, it says it's the same person.
No. No. Pope Benedict the 16th. Pope Francis, who is current Pope John Paul II, was before Benedict. Pope Paul the Sixth was before that, like in order. So Benedict.
Pope
like,
John Paul II said began 2005. and then
Ratzinger. I was
2013.
right. Ratzinger was his last name before he became Pope. Yeah, in the box. You didn't see me. Okay, hold on. I gotta go run and get something real quick. I'll be right back.
Yes, that's quite all right. Because I was gonna say it's funny that our conversation about the cops, because it does remind me of the one quote that I remember from this episode when Riley was like, "Thank God the cops." I mean, oh no, I mean, that was the best part of the episode to me. But I was like, that's not really a huge quotable, but yeah, that's kind of like I think that's a mentality for us to have now. It's kind of like, yay, oh shit, do I want to or do I not?
So once TR is back, do we want to get going? Because we're an hour in.
Yep.
Okay.
Do it.
Cool. Tight.
Shoot, I need some water, y'all. All right, give me 1 second, too.
All right. Lindsay went to get some water. She'll be
perfect.
right back, and then we'll get started.
This is what I was talking about.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that at all. But anywho.
Yeah, break. Took a break.
Uh-oh.
What?
Hi, sorry.
Lindsay's throwing the hammer down. Who's trying to get away with stuff on your watch, Lindsay?
Oh, I don't even know. I just went in the living room and my husband was on his computer, so I was like, "Caught you!" He just started laughing. I'm jerking off on my time.
This is my time. You're podcasting. I'm jerking off.
I mean, when your husband caught podcasts 4 nights a week.
Yeah, I just got a.
Somebody needs to get paid for this shit. That's all I'm saying.
I just got a position being a quiz master, and
Nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Yeah, it's like we did like a test run and like kind of training today, and I was like, got it. Like the whole, reading the questions and and other stuff. I was like, this can be cake. So happy they give you the answers because I thought I knew hella shit, and I was like, oh wait, which one is that? But so it's actually gonna happen on Wednesday, so I'm gonna have to move when my podcast is taped. So I was like, babe, like we're gonna be going probably like before it was Tuesday, Wednesday, which was fine, and then we would tape ours like Thursday, maybe late night Saturday, Sunday. But I was like, well, it looks like we're gonna have to start going like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Yeah, and then Lindsay would start ours with my friend because she's ready to start that one. We're gonna have to figure that out, squeeze that in too. But it's what we love to do.
I get it.
Yeah, we're talking about at least one new one, maybe.
He really wants to do one for reservation dogs, which I just absolutely like. Okay, I have never been a big, huge fan of like comedies, especially like wholesome, like family comedies.
Uh-huh.
But
Is that what it is? Really?
yes and no. Like it's got some drama to it. It's clever. It's really smart, and it's funny. And I don't like comedies, so I'm really happy about it. But
It's produced
I saw the ad
by
for it.
Taika Waititi.
yeah,
Oh, okay. I saw the ad for it. I was like, and you guys were
It's
talking about it.
so
I was
good.
like, okay.
It's so good. But between Reservation Dogs and Ted Lasso, like I feel like watching today's episode several times, like I need a I need a shower.
Aw.
But
Who's
yeah,
in Ted
so
Lasso? Remind me again because I've heard of it.
Which
Who's,
one?
Like, the main actor in Ted Lasso?
oh
Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
That's who it is. Okay. I love him, by the way.
He's really good.
Him.
He
He's
is
funny.
really
Yeah.
good.
All right. So wait, is that on Apple or is that
Yeah.
on?
yeah.
It's on Apple
Ah.
TV.
We actually,
Well-
because we have T-Mobile now, they're giving everybody a year of Apple TV, and that's the only reason why we have it.
We have T-Mobile.
Like-
Oh, it's only if you're new to T-Mobile.
Nope,
But no,
existing.
You
You have to go and
you have to have a specific plan. You have to have one of their Magenta Max plans. So
So
Talk
if I
to-
have like
so
Netflix
call them
on
and-
right now. We have Netflix.
I
like-
have Netflix through them as well. So
Yeah, we have Netflix, Disney, ESPN. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you're gonna make me go on and check because
Yeah,
there
see
are
what
a
your
couple things on
plan-
Apple that I wanted to see.
Yeah, see what your plan is. I mean, maybe because I think the difference in price was for me to upgrade it was like $20 maybe
Okay,
to,
well, I'll
to,
see,
the,
'cause
to a
right
new
now-
plan, and I get unlimited 5G and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No throttling.
It's about time for all of us to get new phones, and especially because mine all of a sudden I can't hear it. If you call me, I have to put it on speaker, and then you should hear like it sounds like I dumped this underwater and just kept it under there, and then it was like, you know what, but I'm gonna still work, but I'm gonna sound gurgly. So it's about time anyway. I was supposed to go take it in like 6-8 months ago, but I'm like, the shit still works.
Yep,
Why
yep.
would I?
yeah.
And they don't have pixels anymore, and I want the Pixel 4 or 5 or whatever it is on
Well,
now. I don't want.
you don't want the 5. You want the new one is the 6, and that's the one you're
Mhm.
going to want.
Is it
He-
really?
I don't
My-
ever pick out a phone.
Well, so
I tell
my-
him what I want, and he tells me
So
what.
my son is the Google Pixel person.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that's right.
And so I asked him about the Google Pixel, and he said,
Okay.
yeah, he likes his 4, but he really wants the 6. The 5 sucks. That's everything he's told me. So-
That's what actually I've read that, and like people were like, wait till the 6th. Do
Yeah.
you, Lindsay, you're shaking your head. Do you have a Pixel too?
Yeah, I'm a Pixel
Oh.
girl.
I love Pixel. I love it. I love it. So I figured the only way I'm gonna get it is actually going through the Google, through the Google,
The Google,
website
yep.
and
The
getting
Google.
it. But you know they only want to give me like $15 for my, I think it's the 3, but it's the large one.
Yeah, I kept it. Fuck
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on
I'm
the
gonna
we're on the jump plan with T-Mobile. So
Yeah.
if you've gone in, if you've paid in a year, you can just turn in your old phone, you get a new phone. There's like no additional. It's
Yeah.
just a direct swap.
He does
There
that
you go.
often. I do that a lot less often.
You're usually like 6 months behind me.
Okay.
That's so.
Okay.
That's what we have to.
All right,
So
so
what-
Yeah.
let's kick this off. We're an hour and 7 minutes into this. So,
Well, it's been
I mean-
a minute.
no, it has. Yeah, I mean, not for me and Lindsay. I mean, we were here doing our job.
We showed up last week.
I was high as fuck in the ocean.
All right. So,
That's right. You weren't here when I was
Tired,
talking about
not
that earlier.
tired, no. All right.
all right. You ready?
I'm doing the thing, right?
Yep.
You know what, Robert? Fuck you and everybody who live in your household.
Okay, buddy.
It's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. Yeah, it's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got some love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the
Hey, y'all. I wanted to kick it off with a string of some of the wonderful racist terms we learned watching this episode, but I don't want to get canceled. So, welcome back to the Boondocks podcast. Today, we are reviewing the banned and often forgotten episode, The Story of Jimmy Rebel, in which Ruckus finds a musical match in a racist country western singer. Can this ebony and ivory match live together in perfect harmony? But before that, how y'all living?
Oh. Yeah. I mean, I had an amazing week last week and now I'm back here. So last week I was living great. I mean, this week I'm very happy to be back home with Dean because that's been the best thing about being back home. but I'm definitely ready to move out of this house. So
How far along are you guys packing?
it's not the packing that we're having to wait for right now. There's some legal stuff with my nephews because the youngest might be changing. Well, can't really talk about it right now about that particular part. But there is a chance that I will have both my nephews with us. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, when you live with an anti-vaxxer and you keep basically threatening to go and get yourself vaccinated, even though you live in Q country and you can't do it by yourself because it's Q country and they don't actually pay attention to like, what is it? Minor youth. I can't think of what it's called. There's some thing where you can show that you are competent to understand what it is you are agreeing to, and basically like go to a doctor and say, hey, I want the COVID vaccine, even though I'm too young to get it without parental permission, but my parents aren't going to give me permission. So he's tried to do that 3 times now. And every time she starts to promise him, I will take you, I promise. Let's just make an appointment with your actual doctor and da-da-da-da. And that still hasn't happened. And it's driving me nuts. But this is what has led him to go, like, I don't want to be here anymore. So I'm frustrated because I want both of my nephews to be as safe as they possibly can, especially living in an area where most people don't believe in vaccines and, the mask mandate and all that. And yeah, if I had my way, he would actually be moving with, moving into a house that had younger kids. We have one of Grace's best friends has offered, and he's thinking about that, because the brothers are thinking they might need a little time separately. They've been basically living in a trailer for the last year and a half, like in the backyard of their grandmother. And it's just done.
You get it out. You remember you're in therapy, so
yeah. There's a lot going on in that, and that's it's probably one of the scarier things that's happening in my life right now because school has started. Although, as far as I understand it, they are getting him signed up for online school, so he won't be going back in person. But he wants to go back in person. So. But he'll be 16 in December, and that is when he will get to make his own choices. And I have been encouraging him to start thinking of that instead of thinking of it as a legal thing, because if I tried to fight it, he would be over 16 before we got done with it anyway. So wait until you're 16. So this is just a few more months. I don't want to be in this house, though, in December. I want to move before that. We're just like, it'll be a few months before he can make his own decisions. So, yeah. How about you, MJ?
I'm good. I am fantastic. Family shit last week, and then like I told you guys, I ended up having a great, surprise with a very good friend, hubby's fraternity brother that showed up on us. He got us good. I'll just say that. Surprised us. And then it was our 16th wedding anniversary last Friday. So we celebrated during a long weekend. And everybody getting back to the norm. So.
Hey, speaking of anniversaries, what was it, like 4 days ago was our 1-year anniversary, which is actually why we're doing a live show today. I don't know if you guys remembered that because Dean had forgotten.
The second was our episode
5 days
0.
And my God.
The 10th was our season 1 episode 1. So this is our 1-year anniversary basically.
Yay! Yeah, so happy anniversary and happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
Every time you do that, it just cracks me up.
Guys of our new fam here, our Podern fam, our podcast fam, or whatever you would like to call it.
The Podscare family.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Wow. My son just said the other day, he was like, "Oh, is it your year anniversary?" Or he said today? No, he said it today. So, oops. And and I thought it was still coming up. I thought it was later in the month.
Yeah,
but I don't know why I
I
thought
actually,
that. I think
I both thought it was earlier and later. Like, I remember that the idea for this kind of came about after George Floyd died, which, you know, was all over the news, you know, when the anniversary of that came up. And so that made me go, oh, wait, we got to be getting close. Because I know that this is when we started talking about it. Because we had just like basically just watched the TV show when that happened. So yeah,
it's
here
wow.
we are.
And here we are. And
And here we are talking about the most racist TV episode that probably ever did or did not air. And probably a lot
No,
of our
you said
listeners have
it-
not even seen this episode because, to be fair, I did not see this episode until today. So,
I am going to be completely honest, and I watched, I think, the wrong episode.
I
But
know.
but it's okay. Because I didn't know that this was an episode that wasn't
The band
wasn't
episode.
listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put that. I put the video of it out on our Google Drive.
So yeah, that was my bad. So you know exactly what it was is that it skips over
Yep.
Yeah.
on HBO, and I didn't see that. My bad. My bad.
That is okay.
Well, you're definitely prepped for next week, which is Tiara's favorite. Is it the?
Is that next week already?
No, it's the week after. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
God, I'm gonna cry on that one. No, I wouldn't say favorite at all. I would say the one that made me go, okay, I'll do this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Smoking with cigarettes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's yeah.
Smoking
okay, so
with
yeah,
cigarettes.
I'll be
Because, yeah, it
completely
reminded me of one of my students. And basically, I just kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we've
Like-
talked about that before. Yeah. When you told me that, because we were talking about it, I was like, I didn't know it was after a real person and all that. good
Right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah. But then I watched, because I'd seen the clip of this kid, you know, that kid wrote. So we'll talk about it.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was
But-
like a viral YouTube thing before.
Yeah. Totally was. But I do think I've seen clips and bits and pieces. So I think I'm good. You know me. I could jump in and talk about anything. So
Right. Right. Oh, yeah. And this episode, yeah, you would have. Oh, my God. The first time I watched through this episode, I was like, I am not high enough for this, and like had to go back outside because it's like it's concentrated redneckery.
yeah.
Like Ruckus
yeah,
meets
okay.
his idol, and you know the literally the person that made Ruckus into who he was like says your music is what made me who I am today, kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
I do vaguely remember bits and pieces, but yes. So
And
just
this guy,
just honesty.
this
No
guy
problem.
is a real musician too, which I did not know until like Googling
Based on-
some
yeah.
lyrics. Yeah. Well, he's a real singer, Jimmy Revel. So I was like,
Johnny
what the
Rebel?
fuck?
Johnny.
I thought
yeah.
Johnny Rebel is the real guy.
I thought this was like a joke. So no, that's a real guy.
Another band one. Like now that I'm just kind of looking shit up, it's like the band Boondocks.
Damn.
I never knew that there was another band one. Like why they? Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I
I said,
guess-
this is the first time I got a chance to see this one. So
And I remember watching it when I was younger, though. Like that's how I kind of like knew, and like because of the music, it stands out so much in my head. So I don't know why or
I
where
bet
I
it
watched
like
but
aired once.
Yeah.
Probably.
probably.
Yeah, Adult Swim permanently banned. I can speak it. After one viewing, after one episode of it, is what this ad says, or not ad. This story says. It's what the Auntie Google says. But yeah, so well, wow. That's, I guess I will be refreshing my memory of sorts.
It's all good. Before we get into all of the loveliness that is this episode and all of the things that we could talk about for it, I did want to, for a couple of reasons, I wanted to bring up the death of Michael K. Williams, who was probably one of the best actors that anyone, I mean, Jesus Christ, who else could, without any worry, play a gay, drug-dealing gangbanger and still not, like, like there was nobody even like questioned it. He was just so perfect and so good in every fucking role he did.
He definitely was, and I think the most recent that
Technically, he robbed the drug dealers.
True.
Yeah.
True. You are right.
yeah, he was a beast. So like I remember one episode when he got like shot and he like jumped out the window and just all this other shit. He's fire. And remember I just watched it this past like summer. I had or
you
last
watched about a
summer,
year
during
ago?
the pandemic. Yeah, I never.
Yeah,
watched
during
it
the
before.
pandemic.
Yeah, because I was just like I couldn't. I was like The Wire. Oh, you know, I was just like I don't
It
want
was
to see
so
it.
much.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was last July. Yeah, that's.
But like most recently, at least in that I know of, Lovecraft Country.
Yeah, so
Which
that, yeah, and then he also did the tribute to DMX. I don't know if you guys remember me talking about.
Right, you
the
talked about that, but I
DVD.
didn't see it.
Yeah, it was so good. He kind of did like a spoken word, but he also, you know, then he did a prayer like DMX. Super, super, super talented. You know, I liked his show that he had on. I want to say it was Showtime or HBO. Was it Vice? Oh yeah, it was Vice that talked about like, you know, yeah, people doing, you know, gun trafficking or you know, weed trafficking or whatever it may be, heroin. Like he was just really trying to show and use his, I want to say persona, but what people knew him as on The Wire to really bring a different, you know, conversation to things like that and what was going on. I do hate that the immediate conversation was that it was, you know, it was drug related. You know, his family is, of course, saying even if it's true or not, they want their privacy. I think they probably would have liked to come out and have that release. Allegedly,
But
it's
no,
coming
the
from
New
a
York
police
Post
officer.
has to post some pictures and some speculation and make people go, ooh, illicit drugs, instead of this man had a fucking addiction that he'd been fighting for most of his adult life.
And it was an
fucking
afterthought
killed
after
him.
they accused him. Then it was, well, we know that. Well, yes, why couldn't that have been something that said somebody who, even though he was prolific, he was a great actor, he had a talent, he did have some demons, much like many other
And he
actors
talked about
actresses.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he was very open and transparent about it. You know, and it's not something that ever just goes away because you go through therapy or, you know, because you have fames and riches. It's actually probably well, we know it's more accessible. But then there also comes some sadness that's with all that. So, you know, it's I couldn't believe it. Like I immediately got my little People breaking news of it yesterday, and I was just like, as soon as I saw his name, I was like, oh, but you know, it's just horrible because you know what they say, it's like three at a time, and Willard Scott passed as well.
Right.
So I mean, I hate to be that, you know, that cryptic or that sad of a person, but it's pretty much been true in the world of celebrity.
Oh yeah,
That
in
they kind
threes.
of go in threes.
Well,
like,
or in groups. Sometimes it's more than three, but it's almost always at least three. Oh Jesus. I used to have such nightmares about that when I was a kid because I would go away to like summer camp and I would come home and find out like 3 or 4 of my favorite celebrities had died all like within that short period of time. And I'm like, what the fuck I can never go to camp again.
I'm surprised you didn't have a little PTSD going to camp.
You know, I remember like, okay, so we're still talking like late 80s here, right? And I'm trying to remember, it was Sammy Davis Jr., Michael Landon, and someone else who all died within like a week and a half of each other while I was at camp. And that was the first time it happened. It happened twice. So that's, I got a little weird about that one. So,
and it's crazy. It does seem to happen during the summer, during the like towards the tail end of the holidays into the new year. It seems like it's kind of that timeline because we lost Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, and we lose it like all in the summer, you know. So, pretty sad. But rest in peace, you know. Love and light condolences to his family and friends.
But let his art speak for him forever, you know.
Yeah, and let it be that exactly. Let's not have, you know, posthumous, you know, tearing down of the man's character and name and whatever it is that he was dealing with. Because anybody that's writing those stories, what do you do when you're behind your locked door of your apartment or your home or whatever?
And to be perfectly honest, there is no shame in drug addiction. Like that's not in your control. I don't care, you know, like one of the reasons, I think I've said this before, one of the reasons why we are moving to the city we're moving to is because of the actual humanity and compassion that they seem to have for the unhoused and for people who are struggling with addiction of any kind. And it's normalized. It's let me help you instead of, oh, get out of here. Or, you know.
I think that's why so many people go there. Like that's what their pursuit is. Like
Yeah.
coming from across the country, they want to just get. They don't say California. They're normally saying Portland, somewhere. You know, that's as long as
It used
I've
to be
known
Seattle. It's not Seattle anymore.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it used to be Seattle was a place that, you know, you could come to and pretty much count on at least a little bit of compassion. Not you still had the Seattle freeze. Like nobody wanted to actually like hang out or do anything unless it happened to like coincide with the 5 minutes that we were happy. But that didn't mean that we didn't care about, like, I've spent more than half of my life living in this particular house. You know, I grew up here, left for a while and lived on my own, and then came back when my dad got cancer and took care of him for a while before he moved out, and then I kept the house. And in that time, I've watched this neighborhood go from barely considered a part of the city to we're about to open a fucking hockey rink 3 blocks from here. Ooh, that was fun.
No, the guy that comes onto my podcast from Smoking Section, he lives in Seattle, and that's what he says. Like, well, I was talking to him, and he says, you know, the communal part of it, where people cared, you know, and things, or you know, when it was divided, he says it's just becoming so much more apparent. You know, the haves and the have-nots. He said that's one of the big things that he's noticed that has changed. So yeah, I know I have a kind of an idea because he was just sharing that with me a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Before he beat me in my trivia night game night that I just decided to start. But yeah, that's heavy. But I see why you guys have an option at least to still be where the part of the country that you love, but be somewhere different.
Yeah. Sorry.
Bear with me a sec. I don't know why it's doing this. See if that helps.
Nope. It started.
You guys are on mute.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave the studio and come back. Y'all can continue.
Right. You gotta take T off of mute. Or was the mic going through the same area?
You got it? Nope, I'm still
You're good now.
I can
Yeah.
see
Still
still
echoing though.
We don't hear it on our side. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, hello. Yeah, that's what it was. Thank you. Okay, Dean's fixed it. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay. You got that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah. So hopefully, and I hate to say this because I'm a bit too much nihilistic for my own good, but hopefully it's not somebody that breaks everybody's heart right now. You know, like I hate to say it that way. Like I don't want anyone to die, but people are gonna die. Hopefully it's not somebody that breaks everybody's heart.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that
not
was-
another Bowie, not another Prince, not another like.
Right. Oh, because Prince, I was like, what? Like that was rough.
Yeah.
And that was Michael Jackson. Yeah.
What was that?
Hubby was asking, was it Prince and Farrah Fawcett at the same time?
Oh yeah, that was Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Like, I mean, just to even say that Michael Jackson and Prince are gone, like, what?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get down to business. Before we start, let's give a quick shout out last week. Thank you to Demond for stepping in to sub for me while I had my my actual vacation, my first actual vacation in years, sitting by an ocean for a week. It was amazing.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Kind of did double duty. 'Cause I was
Right.
able to do it well.
Right. And yeah, family
That's right.
emergency for you, but y'all held it down pretty well. I love it. You don't have your hour pre-show like usual, but that's because us babblers weren't there.
Sometimes we surprise the listeners. So hey, surprise, it was our. Yeah, you guys are good. No, but I appreciate you guys, Dean, super producer, Miss Lindsay, and the homie, the mom. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So let's start the story of Jimmy Rebel. Possibly the most racist TV episode you will ever see in your life. If you are able to find this at home, I believe there are most of it can be found on YouTube. Where else can you find it?
So yeah, you can find there's a playlist out on YouTube that's missing a 2-minute segment of it because the YouTube took it down because it was too racist.
They cut out the Obama song. Because I was like, what? That one song that's gone.
So yeah, the other ones you'll find on Daily Motion. What they've done on those is they have inversed the video. So if you would see somebody on the left, they would now be on the right side of the screen. They have also slowed it down to 85% of the speed. So that's the way they can get away without not being spotted too quickly, I suppose. So what they do
with American Dad episodes on YouTube. Same thing. Yep.
See, I don't know any of this shit. I don't pay attention to YouTube. I'm not the right demographic for that, apparently.
I'm Mr. Ballin.
Yeah.
Right. I did get into TikTok during the apocalypse, so maybe YouTube is next on the list of going down some rabbit holes. I mean, I already do with the mixed songs with the mashups. Anyway. All right. So this is a very musical episode, and most of the story actually, like these songs, there's some really terrible language in this, and so this is your trigger warning. Anybody out there, we are going to be saying the N-word a lot. We are probably going to be saying some of the other really terrible things that are said in this show because that is part of why this episode was banned. It talks about just about everything you think is happening in that honky tonk bar down in small town Texas, East Texas. Am I wrong on the location?
It's Spokane Hoke.
Oh, where's that?
I don't know, but it sounds like Spokane,
right?
With some other kind of crap, but
Okie Finoki.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I knew it wasn't a real place. I was kind of joking that you would find this kind of honky tonk in small town East Texas.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, anywhere in the South. I mean,
small town in the South.
It reminded me a lot of when I think it was the first Borat movie when he went and learned to do a honky tonk song and sang "Throw the Jew Down the Well," and he got the same reaction. So there was a lot of that was very similar to me.
Yeah, I didn't watch that show.
Borat is hilarious, hilariously, and for some people, I'm sure, well, not for us, but anybody else, non-melanated, once again, they're probably just like, whoa. I wonder if they go, ooh, is that really how we are? Or if they just get up in arms, or they just go ahead, keep going about their old racist business.
I meant to bring up Sacha Baron Cohen because I don't know about you guys, but watching this episode reminded me of, I think it was either this summer or last, when he went to that rally and got on that stage.
Yes.
Oh, what do we want to do with the Biden too?
Oh,
Should we give them the Wuhan flu? And he's dressed up as this Appalachian mountain yodel singer, and the crowd is going wild for him.
That was kind of his movie, right?
Yeah.
And
the most recent word,
And that was out here. That was done here. That was in
I'm
Washington State. When he had to escape, because he had to escape from. I don't remember where it was, but
wasn't it Richard Spencer?
Maybe part of that, but it was like a whole Unite the Right type of rally. So
it was a Trump rally essentially.
And I want to say it was almost like in Linwood or some place like that, but it was not far from here.
That was crazy because they were just all about it. I remember they
Uh-huh.
were all about it.
He said
Oh,
something about like referencing Nazi camps and putting people in ovens and stuff. Like it was insane. And the crowd is, yeah, rah
I mean,
rah.
just ready. Yeah. I love finding out that he actually has an education.
Oh, he's so smart.
Oh yeah, he did
Yeah,
his
and
thesis.
yeah.
He came to Selma and did his thesis on the civil rights. How because he's Jewish. He did his thesis on the Jews and the blacks working together during the civil rights era. So yeah, it was a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you know that he comes from a place of like education behind it, then you see why it's his passion. But he does it in such a great way. Like his show that he had on, I believe once again on Showtime or HBO, when he was tricking people, like the shit that he had these one dudes doing, like they had on strap-ons and just all this other kind, like that shit was crazy. I was like, and the things that you guys are doing in the name of allegedly,
Yeah, Dick Cheney pulling his pants down.
not Cheney.
He had Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah,
Giuliani,
yeah,
not
Yeah.
Cheney. Giuliani.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, for Cheney.
You guys are,
Our bad. Our bad. Dude.
Sorry.
Take that out.
oh, please.
It's like,
Anyway.
one of them. Shit, one of them.
Old creepy white dude. It's all good.
Pretty much where he went. That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
God.
personally,
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of his comedy, but he's an amazing actor. His serious acting has really I'm super impressed with him. Anytime anytime he gives talks too, because he does like speeches and stuff all the time too.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that he's cultured and educated and, for lack of a better word, woke. And I hate that word now, but you know
But
what I
it is
mean?
woke.
Like he gets it,
Yeah. And he does it
and he knows how to get
funny in a
them.
Yes.
That's where what you guys are talking about. Like I can't watch cringe humor. I can't watch anything that makes me feel uncomfortable for the person because I have way too much fucking empathy, even if I fucking hate you. So that's basically why I don't like most comedy, because it's hurting someone, even if it's, someone that I don't care about. Like that's still kind of a thing that hits wrong for me. But I completely support what he is doing every time he goes out there because it's funny as shit. It's obvious that he has put his work in and knows exactly who he is pulling this shit on. I can't watch it and enjoy it in like a funny kind of way. I look at it as a very horrifying explanation of what has happened to our country, that he can do this shit and it's accepted so easily by these people. Like they are so down the rabbit hole that they're like, oh, yeah, this is perfect. This is great. We don't even see that it's prosthetic mustache and extra hair and a fake belly and overalls.
And it's like kind of like sometimes it's like the shittiest, kind of like disguises.
It's really not. He doesn't try hard, really.
Yeah, it's still in their own world. They don't even pick up on it. That's what's amazing about it. But I get what you're saying, and I think the reason why it works is because comedy is a safe way to grab everybody's attention, and then hopefully they'll have an afterthought where it's like, oh shit, well,
right,
that was funny. But in one of those situations, it's funny because it's true, and we all kind of know it, and and it's being. I don't want to say broadcast now, like where it's being put on Front Street, so, but he does it in a very intelligent way. And like I said, always, I also appreciate that he's educated. So it's not just a niche for him. It's not just something to get him, famous. So yeah. I do like that about him. And his wife is beautiful. They're a cute little funny couple. So shout out.
Also what bums me out about this episode being censored though, y'all, because it is closer to reality than a lot of people want to admit. But we can get into it.
Let's get into it now. All right, so we begin at a honky tonk called the Shit Kickers Bar. In 1967 Spokenhoek. A man sitting at the bar takes a sip of his beer. The bar owner asks if he's ready. He is. As much as he's going to be. The owner tells him to believe in the music. Too much hair in my face, sorry. He is introduced as Jimmy Rebel. He takes the stage and addresses the crowd to no response. He introduces a song that's about niggers. The song kicks off and the crowd loves it. One thing that I thought was just hilarious about this was And it happens a few times. This is a song about, whatever. And some rando in the crowd will be like, yeah, but nobody else is saying anything. It's just that one dude. Just that one dude.
How are you?
Yeah, exactly. And this song has language like jigaboo, woohoo, and pickaninny flip. And the crowd is just eating it up like what we were just saying, more truth than what people like to admit. And we're back at the Woodcrest Park where Robert and Ruckus are playing checkers. Robert is watching a pretty girl stretch and he tries to draw Ruckus's attention, but he's got headphones in and he's singing along to Jimmy Rebel. That song pretty much that he was just saying. He gets Robert to listen to it. Robert gets so pissed off, throws the headphones at Ruckus and says that it's sick. Ruckus explains that Rebel's music made him who he is today. He also says that he's going to write and record his own racist songs after they finish their game. And this is kind of that first episode for me where I'm seeing Robert actually seeing how problematic Ruckus is. Like he's really starting to see, like, you really listen to this. You really like that. This is okay. All right. After we finish this game though, like he still doesn't have any friends. So, so then we are back. Oh, hold on. Of course, my headphones are falling off. So we're back at Ruckus's house and he's writing a letter to Jimmy Rebel, tells him how much he loves his music and how he plays it at all his jobs, like driving a bus with little kids. He encloses in his letter a song that he's written, "Keep Them Niggas Out of NASCAR," which,
The last great thing a white man can call his own.
And, it's life imitating art. Like that's still kind of a struggle that's happening in NASCAR. Like I'm trying to remember. I know it was an accident or it wasn't actually what it was, but because everybody understands how NASCAR can be, when a noose was found in a black driver's space. It was time is so fucking wacky for me right now. I think it was pre-pandemic. Do you remember?
Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace, yeah. It turns out that wasn't on purpose or anything, but seeing something like that as a black person in such a white environment that, literally like that song 15 years ago, "Keep Them Niggas Out of NASCAR," that absolutely could have been something because that was such a verboten idea. And even now it's weird, like not weird for us, but like, people who like NASCAR. Oh, that's that. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that might be one of them good ones, but I don't know. So kind of like black people in golf. They don't quite get looked at with the same level. And one thing I wanted to point out when Ruckus was writing this letter: "Dear Mr. Jimmy Rebel, my name is Uncle Ruckus, no relation." I still don't understand the no relation.
I don't think anyone does.
Even when he's writing it down. So Ruckus doesn't actually believe that Jimmy Rebel is ever gonna, get this and listen to the music, but he does, and he really likes the song. In fact, he plays it for the other execs at his record company, and they love it. So then Jimmy drives out to Ruckus, but when he gets there, Ruckus has to pretend that he is Toby, which is, the slave name of Kunta Kinte from Roots, and basically tries to say that, no, Uncle Ruckus was an old rich white man and he's his faithful manservant, and just basically like hiding that he's the actual Ruckus because he knows that this person will not appreciate him as a black person. So Ruckus tells Jimmy that Mr. Ruckus has the Nigerian monkeypox, and it's very contagious. Basically, he just kind of moons over him. Jimmy Rebel says, "I've never met a black who likes my songs," Excuse me, which a black really kind of threw me because I don't know if I've ever really heard that, like a black. I've heard a nigger, and I've heard, you know what I mean, like with capital A.
Oh, I've even heard people, it bugs me, like just people who I'm, just know in business and stuff, who I'm pretty sure are not racist, as sure as I can be, but like refer to black people as blacks. I don't like it. A lot of people do it. I don't like it.
Like that.
Say black people, not blacks. Okay.
Yeah. That's
I say folks, black folks. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a me thing that there's something about saying blacks.
Yeah, the blacks.
Blacks and whites.
It's the blacks who did that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why I was like a black. You're a black. I've never had a black that. But there's no person attached to that.
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's dehumanized.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say I think when anybody says the Chinese or the Oriental.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. Especially when they use language that is outdated from the community, like, oh gosh. The other day I was talking to a now former coworker, which I need to call her, but there's been some pushback in the staff of the school I used to work at, because pandemic and people have been isolated for a year and a half in their own personal little echo chambers. Some of them have come back, not exactly the same people that they used to be. And there was one of the staff members is, she's from Central America, and she was basically complaining about the term Latinx and how, I don't know anybody who likes that. We don't like to be referred to like that. And I'm like, so you're going to speak for all people of potential Latin descent, because there are people who choose to be identified that way. Like I call myself black. I don't consider myself African American. I consider myself black. Someone else might say Latinx. They might say,
Latin is one that I'm hearing
Latin.
that I've
Ooh, I
heard.
like that one.
Tine, yeah. So yeah, instead of putting the X at the end, it's just Latin.
I like how in other countries there is slowly a drive to degender language. And in Latin American countries, that's one of the hardest things because everything is gendered. Like French is like that too. Everything is male or female. And so like that's where the Latinx came from, was taking out the Latina, Latino, and just, no, I'm just this. So yeah, like I will never understand people who feel the need to talk for everyone with their own opinion. So anyway, where was I? So because Ruckus has been fawning all over him and basically like, knows his music so well, when Ruckus offers to, get him a cold drink and that sort of thing, he finally is like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And ends up that they basically become like these best friends. And it's just, it's so funny. He decides he's going to, or he talks Jimmy Rebel into letting him show him around Woodcrest. So they go to the park. They get caricatures. They ride a bicycle built for two. They're going on amusement park rides. Basically showing that these two people are becoming good friends and enjoying their time together.
And let's not forget, another racist song is playing during this montage that is not just reserved for Black people. This shit, they were going after all of us, y'all. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, please carry on.
No, there are so many, like, I didn't write down every song because it just seemed like every couple of minutes there was a new song and it was worse than the last one.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. Like my husband was working and then he just stopped and he was like, what?
Yep, that's... Mm-hmm.
He did like Ruckus did when he put the headphones on. He's like, What the fuck did he just say?
You mean
Yes.
Robert?
Oh,
Yeah.
Robert.
When
Sorry,
Robert
yeah,
did
right,
that. So Ruckus and Robert are back in the park. Robert makes a move on the checkerboard, but Ruckus is daydreaming. Robert gets Ruckus's attention, and Ruckus asks Robert if he's ever met someone who likes him, but only because they don't know the real him. And Robert says that that's his dating life. Ruckus tells Robert that he's supposed to be a white man without revitiligo, and Robert cracks up. So it's very obvious here that Robert thinks that Ruckus has met a dating prospect. And that kind of goes through the whole episode there. So Rebel shows up to Ruckus's house the next day. Ruckus tells Rebel, Jesus, there's too many R's. Ruckus tells Rebel that Mr. Ruckus told him to show Jimmy the best that Woodcrest had to offer. That was the montage. Okay. Oh yeah, and they were playing Twister. I missed that part.
And sharing a sundae.
Like the cotton candy was the one that really cracked me up because
And the part of the song that's not racist that we can probably repeat is it keeps going, "You're a man's man." Like, y'all, Jesus Christ.
Woo. So Robert is just sitting in the park waiting for Ruckus to come and play checkers. But later, things wind down at Ruckus's place.
Oh, the world needs more white men like you, Jimmy Rebel. America getting soft on niggas. Hell, they even elected one president. I bet that's gotta burn you up.
Yeah. A lot of people think, that I spend all day just angry at Negroes.
Lord knows I do.
But it's hard to be angry, I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe in white rights and all that, but overall, I'm a pretty happy fella. You know what the liberals and the NAACP never could figure out? It's not about the color of a man's skin. It's not the big lips or how y'all say aura instead of aura.
Or the fact they wear their ass on their shoulders.
Right. It's the attitude, stupid. A feller can't control what color he is, but he can control his attitude. If all blacks acted like you, Toby, if they worked hard and stopped complaining about every goddamn thing, then we wouldn't have no problem with them at all.
Yeah, so all of that is so completely problematic, definitely. But for me, because I know, Lindsay, you have something to say about this too, but for me, it's like that last part is so many people that I have met, like if only all the other black people were as motivated and determined and worked as hard and like that. You've been hearing that for, probably since Jimmy Rebel started. That's just been a normal refrain from the white separatist, white rights movement, I guess. I can put it that way.
Absolutely. And this clip to me now, this is when Trump got elected, I really cut ties with, I would say, 80% of my social network because they came out the woodwork. And I've talked about on this podcast. I'm talking white, black. I'm talking my own family members, friends, all of it. I'm done with you because so many of them came out of the woodwork and their justification for their bullshit was this sentiment, including, like I said, black family members, like black friends I've had since elementary school and shit like that. They wouldn't say, I'm not racist. They have this whole view of like, there's us black people who work hard and we do this and we do that. And you guys complain too much. You want Democrats to throw you a bone and Trump is here for people who work hard and bitch, the Candace Owens of the world. Like this is y'all. This is what I call coonery. Okay. So I don't want to hear it. This is a bunch of bullshit. And this is the mind state of people on all sides of this aisle. And the funny thing to me about, I wish we could play all the racist music that's been going on in this show, because it's the illogical nature of these lyrics and this sentiment that are that amuse me. Why I say like this is so funny to me, because anyone who really looks at that situation, oh, if blacks would complain less, we wouldn't have a problem with you. Well, if you treated us equally in society, if you gave us the same opportunities, if you didn't try and put us in prison for trumped up charges and all the other bullshit you pass, maybe we would stop complaining. Maybe.
You know, the desire of the complaints, if we want to call it that, is some fucking equity, like for shit to be equal, like the way it's
Right.
supposed to be. It's very simple.
But when you're used to being in power, equity feels like a demotion.
Yeah, well, for sure, you know, and that is out of fear, because let's be very honest. Everything that our pop culture is built upon, what this country is built upon, like everything is based upon our culture. Like a good, I'd say 90%, 95% of how this country, it's inner fabric. Like today, in the past, people have stolen, you know, some of the biggest bands in history admit that they were copying off of, you know, old black, you know, back, you know, back, I don't want to say back country, but just really country, maybe not very widely known blues singers, or, you know, or James Brown, or just, yeah, you know, and shit like that. Like from music to everyday culture, to sayings, to what's on your graphic t-shirts, to all these other things are based upon the very people that you want to have this same sentiment about. When in your culture, and I think in every culture, there is somebody that are lazy. There are people that want handouts. I mean, look at it now. People don't want to, and I'm not even going to call this one a handout, but I think people are realizing they don't want to go back to jobs working at, you know, fast foods or whatever it is, when they were getting that same amount or doing better on unemployment. So, you know, they just, of course, everybody's unemployment's cut off, you know, and all the federal extra benefits. So now they're going to have to go back, but at least there's a little bit more in pay. You know, it's a little bit more of a livable wage, not completely what everybody needs, but why is that? Because there's a need now. And why is that? Because people in their own way were kind of protesting. I mean, not really, but saying that you're going to get unemployment and not going back was definitely your way of being like, no, you guys have got to start giving me equal pay, or at least livable pay, for things to just be a little bit more equitable. You know, I think the goal should be to get rid of the lower class completely, of the poor class completely. But, you know, that doesn't work for everybody, because they want to sit back and have that sentiment and complain and point fingers. So it's like you said, it's all encompassing. It's on either sides, and it's a problem that leads to so many other problems. So that sentiment and that mindset leads to so many other problems within our society. And
it's like I don't remember what school district it was. I want to say it was like Wisconsin or something like that. But where dude was like, we need to shut down the free lunch program because it'll spoil kids. And it's literally like, no.
Yeah, because there are some children that's their only meal that they get out of the day, whether they be black,
exactly.
white, you know, green,
like that,
yellow, polka dot. Like there are so many.
Like that made me more angry than anything. And that to me is just, like that to me is capitalism. Yes, that is, I get no benefit on paying for this. Yeah. So therefore I'm going to eliminate it and, you know, make other people somehow, you know, just fucking live with it. But like literally, like my job is so much harder because my kids most of the time come into school having not had breakfast. And so I am feeding them in the morning. And, you know, some of them have already been up for hours taking care of their younger siblings who may or may not have gotten a chance to eat. And, you know, like that's a very basic. Anyway, where I was going with that was like, I'm not a fan of like Andrew Yang or most politicians in general, but the universal basic income is, especially after living through a fucking pandemic, I don't understand why people are not supporting that more. Like we are literally seeing people, I mean, we're not even talking about climate change where people are dying because they can't get out of a basement apartment and they can't afford to escape from a hurricane. Like I'm not even talking about that. Right. Yeah. I'm just straight up talking about like taking away stuff from the people who need it the most because they absolutely do not have any humanity. And it goes right back to, you know, what I was saying in our pre-show.
Like they don't get it. No matter how well off you are, and no matter what, you're not getting something free. That's what they look like in their eyes. Like, well, what? Well, you never know what your situation could be in. especially some of those that are so well off, because you guys do the dirtiest shit to get your money most of the time. So you never know when that position could be you, and then you need that same thing that you're so worried about not getting. You know what I'm saying? It's like that kid that didn't get the birthday, or you're at somebody else's birthday party, and as a kid, even though your birthday's coming up and you're gonna get birthday party and birthday gifts, kids are always like right there in front of somebody else is opening their presents, and then they always have they're always a little salty, and it's like, it's not your birthday. So it's kind of that same kind of mentality, like, dude, you can't be jealous of somebody else for their fortune right now, because your turn is going to come, and maybe, like I said, maybe or not their turn won't come, but their turn is every day, because you guys are getting to live in this nice little privileged bubble that the rest of us can't necessarily afford or claim, so it's like, get over yourselves. So like when Lindsay said it's kind of amusing to you, that's kind of how I've learned to take it. I don't want to say that's my defense to it, but it is kind of like ridiculously amusing that you would even have that thought about another human being when you're not much better off. When you're doing some dirty shit somewhere somehow. So yeah, that's the way I kind of tend, like, I tend to chuckle at first before I get angry. But yeah, it's and I do remember this episode and I was been kind of looking at episode clips this whole time, so I'm not completely out of the loop.
It's all good. It's all good. You're doing great, baby.
I don't want anybody to think she's not on her job. I am. Guys. I am. Not
No,
you
this
guys.
was a weird one, because like this is not like, you can't, if you're watching it on what are we watching on HBO Max, it's not on HBO Max, so you have to actively go out and seek it. And if you didn't even know it was there, like I said, this was the first time I remember seeing this episode. I do not believe I saw it back in the day, and I definitely didn't see it the first time when we rewatched it last year. So
yeah, I don't think I always saw it, but that's hubby. He's covering his mouth. He's trying to like stifle that. But yeah, no, it kind of shocks me that is also not on HBO Max, when it's like you guys came out being like, we're gonna show everything. As far as I remember, when they saying they were releasing on there, like, all episodes, find everything. So
it's because the agreement that was made was with Adult Swim, and Adult Swim is the one who took it down.
Gotcha.
Well, there you go.
Well, the Daily
All
Motion
right.
one is definitely inverted, by the way. You were correct. Absolutely looks weird. I'm like, why is
It
it
is,
on that side screen?
and it's slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he told me that, I was like, I'm so glad you didn't try and have me watch that, because I would have been so confused. It was terrible.
Why are you playing a joke on me? Why are you?
Right? Like, why am I watching this right now?
You're like looking at your pen, like, what is in this?
Yep.
Kind of tree is
You
in
sounded
this?
like Dory talking well.
Yes. You're right.
That was so funny. That was like, what? God, I want to watch that again. Now, thank you for making me think of that.
Oh.
That's, I look at her
All
every day.
right.
I have her on my thigh. But
All right, so Jimmy gets up to go, but Ruckus wants him to hang out more. He can't. But he asks if he can talk to Mr. Ruckus before he leaves town tomorrow, or the next day. Ruckus tells him that he will do his best. So then the Ruckus goes over to the Freeman house and basically begs Robert to help him with the rebel situation. Robert wants to know why he should help him. Ruckus says that it's been his only dream to create racist music for white folks. The doorbell rings and Ruckus shoves Robert up the stairs and into his room, and then takes down the pictures of Huey and Riley and Obama that are hanging up before going to open the door. Jimmy asks how things are, and Ruckus tells him that Mr. Ruckus is still very sick, but that he wants to talk to Rebel. Ruckus leads Jimmy to Robert's room, and through the door, Jimmy tells Ruckus that he likes his music and wants him to come to Spoken Oak with him to make an album. To show his appreciation, right? If he had just gone there, it would have been fine. But to show his appreciation, he has brought autographed copies of every single one of his CDs, which he then starts pushing under the door, naming off all of them. And yeah. Woo. Robert just he cannot hold his breath. He especially some of the later ones. Gosh, I'm so glad I didn't write them down, but also I wish that I had so I could say them out loud. But
I think
remember some.
the very last one was a black man stay out of my white woman.
right, which I think I feel like that was the one that Robert was like, I can't fucking
Black toes and ghettos.
right.
That's what I just remember. I don't remember the rest. I was like, what the hell?
Oh shit. Yeah, there's like I don't know what like 8, 9, something like that. There's a whole bunch. So Robert is he's so pissed off. He comes out of the bedroom and basically starts, acting like he's going to attack Rebel. Too many R names. He refuses to continue with the charade. He throws him out of the house. Ruckus finally comes clean, tells him that he is actually Uncle Ruckus. Rebel says that he figured it out, but, he didn't actually care because, he's a good nigger. Good Negro, I think he actually started calling him. And right. And then he still says, I'm going to take you to Spokane, and that's in Ruckus's one good eye. It's so like, he's so happy.
Life dream was come true, huh?
Right. I have to admit, this episode, I got distracted by Ruckus's fake eye more than I usually do. Probably because Ruckus was actually like emoting, like they were giving him emotions on his face for once. And so like, it threw me off a lot because I would be like looking at the face and all I could see would be this giant eye. And I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to look at that eye. Okay.
Be in your dreams tonight, that one eye.
Right. So they land in Spokane, and Rebel takes Ruckus to the record company. They're walking down the halls, and he's showing him all the gold records, and basically says we specialize in hardcore racism, which is surprisingly lucrative and consistent. Always has fans. The other execs and people that are in the halls keep turning and looking and like, oh, and talking about him. When they finally end up in the boardroom with the execs, and Jimmy introduces Ruckus's to the executives, all of them with their mouth wide open, and tells them he wants to do an album with him. And so then we have Ruckus and Rebel in the studio, and they're recording The President's a Nigga to Me, which is honestly probably the best song of all of them. Saying I don't care if he's the president, he will always be. Yeah. Anyway, all of the engineers, all of the sound guys are like super confused, but Ruckus and Rebel are just having the time of their lives and laughing and just, they're enjoying themselves. Back at the Fremont residence, Robert leaves Ruckus a voicemail about the checkers tournament if he hasn't been lynched by the white people in Spokane. Huey comes up to ask.
You all right?
Yeah, it's just I think I miss Ruckus. Does that mean there's something wrong with me?
Yeah. And he's gay.
So he misses his friend. He has not gotten to hang out with his friend now for a while because he's been doing all these things. And it's really the first time that you see that, like I was saying earlier, that Robert realizes, I actually do care about this guy. And that he's maybe not completely comfortable with it because he doesn't want to, seem like he misses him. But that's basically what's happening in that. Also, I love how Riley continues to use phrases like that, despite the fact that they are kind of coding him more and more, or I should say less stereotypically masculine. Like having a shower cap on his head and stuff like that as he's walking through. Like, not that that's not masculine, but that it doesn't code masculine in things like that. So I thought that was interesting that they're keeping that he was still a little like from the Gangstalicious with the show. Yeah. From the Gangstalicious episode where he wore the skirt and the the man bag and all that. Like Riley might be pushing his boundaries a little bit, and we don't even know.
He's got lots though too. So
He
might be doing it
does.
for that reason. But I
Right,
think like
right, totally.
yeah, an interesting thing that's going on here too is like even when Ruckus, like none of us picked the clip, but when Ruckus is like convincing Robert to pretend to be Uncle Ruckus to impress Jimmy, he makes a statement to Granddad like, I hate black people, but I hate you a lot less than all of them. Like there's this silent bromance.
And that's how he like talks about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I wrote that down. I wish I'd remembered to say that, but that's I love that moment because it literally is just Ruckus going, You're a nigga, but that's okay because you're the best one that I've ever met, and I consider you a friend, without actually like saying that. Like I hate black people. I hate black people, but I don't hate you as much as I hate all of them. Like that's so completely perfect. And yeah, I like that you phrase that as like a romance because it really does feel like they have these underlying feelings that neither one wants to admit to. And yeah, it's just, I got you. I pick it up.
There's also the silent tone, which I know we're going to get into it a little more as we keep going, that Ruckus in this episode is acknowledging without acknowledging that he's black.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He doesn't even try really to push the reverse vitiligo thing, even though he does mention it.
Yes.
But he doesn't try to push it.
Yeah.
Let's go real quick. I wanted to bring up something that I spotted. I don't know, is the wanted hug between Ruckus and Rebel. They both went to try to hug and then like shake and then Rebel just pats him on the shoulder. So yeah, and I kind of wonder if you're talking about Robert, if Robert is feeling maybe a little jealous.
Right.
Is what it is.
Right, because like Ruckus doesn't have a whole lot of friends, and nobody agrees with Ruckus, right? And so Robert is like looking at, maybe thinking, I'm supposed to be your friend. Why are you not doing the things that we have been planning to do? Just because this new person it's new relationship energy. Fuck. It's dropping everything for this new love interest that, and that really is how they kind of coded this whole episode. Like, not that it was a romance, but that there's this kind of subliminal love triangle between the three of them. Especially like when they're in the park and Ruckus is crying and then Rebel shows up, which we're going to talk about in a minute, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
Sorry.
But that's exactly that actually no, that was something else. Okay. So sorry, mixing up what we watched today. Let's see. Where are we? Back in the boardroom with the execs. Rebel is playing the song that they just recorded to them and expressing how much he loves it. The execs think it will ruin them. They feel that the company named Racist Records should be racist, if not at the very least segregationist. Basically saying that, our fans will not be okay with a black singer. And, Rebels is trying to back up that Ruckus is actually more racist than all of them.
Ruckus is more of a racist than anyone in this room, and that includes me.
Look, Mr. Rebel, I think they might be right.
No, come on now. Beneath your skin, you're as white as any white man, and I'm gonna prove it to you. Tonight, I'm doing the new stuff at Shit Kickers, and I want you to come with me.
You mean like to drive you there?
No, I mean on stage. We're gonna perform together.
Oh, no, Mr. Rebel, I don't think I'm ready for...
Oh, yes, you are. You gotta believe in the music.
Gotta believe in the music. Go ahead, Linz. I know you had something on this.
And it's going to tie a lot into the next sort of song we hear. But to me, this goes right back to that other clip where I say like, oh, people, even other black people I've known pretend that your judgment or your political allegiance, or in white people too, pretend that it's about anything other than pure hatred of black people because we're black. I don't want to hear it, but we can keep going because this is going to play into that song.
Right. It's going to come right again. So up on stage, Jimmy talks to the crowd about how he got his start there because he's right back in that shit kicker. What was it? Shit kicker. Boop, boop, boo. Shit kicker's bar. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if I had the name right. So that's right where he started his career, and he wanted to show off his new beginning, doing his first collaboration with another artist. So he then kicks off the song "One Good Nigger," which again, that one voice in the crowd that just cracks me up every time. No such thing. And it tells the story of meeting Ruckus.
Well, but just the other day, during a blizzard in hell, I met a colored fella, and as far as I could tell, inside he had a white man's integrity. How about that?
I'll be damned.
Your man's integrity. Well, I don't know. Well, never mind. I wasn't going to say anything.
Here's my thing with this. And right, because racism cracks me up. I've talked about it many times on this podcast. This is exactly why. What the hell is white man's integrity? What's that?
That's what I would. Yep.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that. I'll wait.
I get to push the button.
I mean, in some ways, yeah. But it's just like this shit is just so stupid to me. Like, how can you? And I know racism is powerful. Racism has so many negative, hurtful, dangerous, deadly, devastating, culture wrecking effects, right? We all fucking know this. But when you really sit back, and being a Black woman who's often been the fly in the buttermilk my entire life, working all these fucking corporate jobs with these racist ass people, to me, like when we sit and watch this episode and we hear all of this overtly racist commentary, this hilarious, nonsensical shit, this is how a lot of times I may not say it, I cannot say it, or felt I couldn't. I may not show it in my face, but when people sat around these offices and said all kinds of little microaggressive shit, threw your little racist shit at me, made your little smart ass comments, the way I giggle through this episode is the way I'm giggling at you. Because I know the truth of who I am. And I hope, like any Black person out there who's dealing with racism and it's very unfair, and these people are in power and can do all this fucked up shit with you, that on some level you are laughing at their ignorance, just as these ignorant ass lyrics are being done. You get away with the shit you get away with for one reason and one reason only, and that is that you are in the position of power that you are in this country. But on the inside, I am laughing at your fucking tomfoolery, your coonery, just the way I'm laughing at these nonsensical bullshit lyrics with your white integrity and your jigaboo and niggaboo and all this other bullshit that's going on in these songs. Okay, you fucking clown.
God, I fucking love you.
Need the applause. Need the applause. Need the applause. There we go.
Yeah, hit the applause button. Who's got the applause button?
Who's got the applause?
Like shit, I was sitting there. Yep, fucking. Yeah. God damn it.
Holla. No.
Yeah, that. The fact that Jimmy Rebel believes that these people are racist in the same way that he's racist, with big old quotes and capital letters and all of that shit, because to him it's not about the color of their skin. It's just they're fine as if they act like Ruckus, but that's not what we're about to find out. That's not how everybody reacts. So midway through that song, Jimmy introduces Ruckus to the crowd, and the crowd is pissed. Jimmy says to give him a chance, but they are not having it, and a fight ensues, which actually I think was started by Jimmy. I might have missed. Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Like somebody was basically talking shit, and he came running out there to Ruckus's defense. And again, we're picking up these things for just like that romance, like you would see in like a rom-com or something. He's standing up to the actual bad redneck versus he's the good white boy, the good white racist.
He's more tolerant.
Right. He's more like my in-laws. Sorry, baby. Anyway, they get back to the hotel and Jimmy's laughing and he was basically having a great time. But Ruckus is concerned about Jimmy's career. Jimmy explains that his views have...
You remember when I said how we hate the blacks because of their attitudes?
Yeah?
Well, I think that's a load of shit. You're just like one of us, Ruckus, but they still hate you. And it's not your attitude, it's because you're black. And know what else I realized? Most rednecks are really fucking stupid. And I mean really fucking stupid. I've made some of the best music of my life with you, Ruckus, and I don't intend to stop.
Oh, wasn't that just
Wah,
love affair right there?
right? Ruckus is heartbroken and tells Rebel that he can't make any more music with him because he's just not the racist that he thought he was. And then he runs off into the night. Again, more like all of this is such a rom-com. You're not the racist I thought you were. And then he runs away crying. Oh, it's so beautiful. Back in the Woodcrest Park, Robert is sitting at the checkers table. Ruckus shows up and asks if he can play. Robert said that he's waiting for someone else, but Ruckus can play until they show up. Ruckus confesses to Robert that he should have listened to him, and at that moment, Rebel shows up. And here's that movie moment. Like, Ruckus is sitting there crying to his friend, who's then like, dude, look up. Like, he's right there. Rebel says that, let's see. Ruckus apologizes for what he said. Rebel says that he's not the racist he used to be, and he needs to take his career in a new direction. And that they're not going to just sing about niggers. Ruckus is confused because he doesn't understand what they will sing about. Rebel tells them that there's all kinds of things to sing about. Friends, good times, beer, love, all kinds of shit. I love that line. And then back at Ruckus's house, Jimmy and Ruckus end up singing a new song they've written about Mexicans. Send the Beaners back down to Mexico. And that is the end of this episode. Now, before we move on to anything, there's actually a couple things that I forgot to point out that I wanted to do before we get into anything else. So earlier, when Granddad was pretending to be Ruckus behind the bedroom door, he's strangling himself to make himself sound like a white man, and like pinching his nose and just basically trying to like talk like this. It's a little less, sounds a little less like a black person in his mind. And I just thought that was hilarious that to sound white, he basically tries to strangle himself. Mm-hmm. And then the voicemail later. I don't know if, let's see. You've reached Uncle Ruckus. If you're white, leave a message. If you're black, leave town. And I feel like that absolutely was that was just so fucking perfect. Like, this whole episode is a love story, rom-com, situational comedy, ruckus hour kind of like, he's the star of this, I don't know, Meg Ryan movie.
It's You've Got Mail.
Yeah. Well, it's not just You've Got Mail. It's definitely a mixture of a whole bunch of them.
I mean,
but...
and that he doesn't. Whoa! What the heck?
Oh, we lost a lens.
All right. But yeah, let's see. Can I add her back in? There you go. But yeah, that he didn't. I mean, that Jimmy didn't know he was like. So Ruckus was trying to hide who he was. So it was kind of like, and that's kind of gave me the. Oh
yeah, totally.
Yeah, You've Got Mail one.
Yeah, there's that's kind of why I mentioned Meg Ryan. Like, there were so many movies like that where it'd be a misunderstanding or pretending to be someone else or whatever, and it ended up, being basically what we just saw in the end of that episode. And I just thought that was fantastic.
Very interesting. I didn't look at it that way, but I see it now. Like that whole the love affair.
Are you back, Lens?
I'm here.
Okay, just want
I
to make
might
sure.
have to leave and come back in, though, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing.
That's totally fine.
That's no problem.
But yeah, like you, I mean, I think like most of us, with the exception of Lindsay, this was the first time that I had seen it. So because it was, I mean, if it hadn't been for Lindsay, I wouldn't have known about it. So, but yeah,
which is really interesting. But yeah, because we knew about the other two.
Right, because those are both on HBO.
Right.
So yeah, they didn't remove those.
Yeah, we're trying to remember how we saw it, but as we started watching the clips, kind of as we were talking here, hubby was like, "We've only seen this." I was like, "Yeah, I remember." So I don't remember how, but I also don't remember that it was banned. So I don't know.
There were, I mean,
had the uncut version.
Not complete. It's not completely unusual. It's not completely unusual for no.
She keeps touching me with her dirty feet.
I crossed my legs and like my toe touched him and he's like, "Gah." I'm sorry that I haven't had a pedicure in a while and I just walked on a beach in California that had the softest sand ever. But dude, you live with me. You married me. You bought it. You got to live with it. My feet are not pretty right now, but that's okay.
Your black ass. I guess he doesn't like that at all.
It's hot in here.
I thought I was having a hot flash.
No, it's warm.
Anyway, sorry. Anyway, I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, this episode, I think the first time I watched it through, I could not focus on any kind of subtext. It was just, okay, this is what this episode is. All right. And, today, like, we're having like one of those weird occasions where Dean and I have technically no work on the same day because he's on staycation. And so like today he actually watched it with me over and over again instead of me watching it by myself while he's working or something like that. And like half the time we watch it once or twice together, usually right before we go on. But like this was like woke up this morning and we were like, we finished whatever we were watching. What were we watching? Well, Ted Lasso.
We finished. Yeah, we caught up on Ted Lasso. We caught up on Reservation Dogs. I can't think of what else.
There was a movie or two. Anyway,
yeah.
But like interspersed through that, we watched it together, and I think it was like the second or third where I was like, "That's such a like a romance movie trope," and he was like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of those in here," and it made me go, "Huh?" And like the next time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, okay, oh, and then that, okay." Like it was just one thing after another. It was so completely perfect. Again, Magruder, like I don't know what else he's been doing. Like I want to see more stuff from him the more I watch the show.
He's a sorcerer. He is just a sorcerer, wizard, whatever you want to call it. I'm excited for the new season. I'm really, really, really excited to start seeing some pictures from it. Just some just something. Just give us something.
Right.
Yeah, I want to hear who's doing voices.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's the big thing. I want to know who's running the show because because in the first three seasons, I mean, Magruder just wrote. He created and wrote. He was listed as a producer, but I don't think he was ever. He never ran the show. It was like Carl Jones. Oh God, no, I can't remember the other guy's name. But there's like two main showrunners. So I'll be interested to see how this turns out because they're gonna have if they go with the same Woodcrest people. I mean, somebody else is gonna have to play Ed Wensler. Somebody else is gonna have to play Ed the Third. I don't. The last I heard, I mean, a year ago, Regina King sounded like she was in.
I think she would.
I bet she would.
But she'd be like, "Look,
she has blown up."
But she's blown up a lot since that. Yeah. So, because she was on Jamel Hill's her podcast, and that's where she was talking about it. And she said, "I'm just an actor in this, and whenever they tell me to go, I'll go." And that, and again, that like I said, that's a year ago. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll happen. But I mean, because I love Regina, she's awesome.
Right.
But
I think,
you
I
know,
mean, she definitely would. I don't think she would allow anybody else to voice those roles. Um, I was always just thinking about Grandpa, but I didn't even think about One Fleur and like I didn't even think about all that.
That's recent, so
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I know they were saying that his Grandpa's son sounds just like him. His
right.
son in real
We
life.
talked about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
there was a falling out
Right.
between JD and whoever is putting the show together now.
uh, we'll see. We're gonna keep talking about it, guys. We're gonna keep speaking to it.
Hell
Just
yeah.
before we
I
know,
mean,
we're gonna
yeah,
make an announcement about it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I do wish whoever was making the choice about not bringing JD in would fall on his sword and say, you know, I'm really sorry I screwed up.
Right.
Will you please come work with it? They
Right,
should beg
yeah.
him because they really kind of fucked him over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think if they get that guy out, it would get more backlash, and so it would happen. You know, like more people became aware of what was going on, and because
Right.
people want it, like people want it back super bad. So you know, I don't know.
yeah, I mean,
Part of half
otherwise it's going to be. I mean, I could see them in that case just recasting everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
because they have so many significant names who are now no longer there.
Yeah.
I mean, they may
Or
just
maybe
say,
it's like down the line, like it's in the future when it's Riley and Huey or 15 years
And not
later,
every-
really. Like,
well,
you know,
yeah. I mean, the pictures that I saw.
it's them when they're kids. Still.
Yeah, they're still kids.
Yeah.
I mean, different style, but yeah, it's still them as
Yeah.
kids.
I think if they got somebody like a Jay Farrow, who is like a great impressionist and impersonator,
Ooh,
that
Jay
somebody
Farrow.
like that.
I mean, and
If they
Orlando
do recast.
Jones.
Oh,
Good man, Orlando
I love
Jones.
Orlando
coming.
Jones.
I
Yeah,
can see
Orlando
him.
Jones, yeah.
I think
He'd be
I think he
granddad.
could do a good granddad.
Yeah. I could. I like angry granddad. Yep, let's do it.
Godfrey's really good too. Godfrey is really, really good impersonators too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another guy, his name is Cedric, if I'm not mistaken. I saw him through one of the content creators, Kev on Stage, that I watch. I want to say that's his name. Or is it Cedric or Jason? One of the two. Anyway, this kid is
Those
like
are very different names.
totally. But I was like, what are the other popped up? I'll have to I'll let you guys know. But he is so talented. Like he does a great Denzel, but anybody he does is actually really good.
Yeah, Jay
But yeah,
Farrow
I
does a great Denzel too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if they ever were to go that route, I think they should recast in the essence of those that were there, originally. If they're going where they're all needed, like he said, if they're not
an
all going to be
homage.
involved, then they won't all be, necessary. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But Regina King has to come back, like at
Right?
I mean,
yeah,
if she should be running the show, honestly.
right. Seriously, hey, you never know. Like I said, she's a boss. She does a lot
big
of
time.
stuff and a lot of
Fuck, she's
producing and
awesome.
directing. So you never know.
She's like me with my number of podcasts. She's just in everything.
Yeah. Hey, gotta do it. If what you love to do, gotta do
Hey,
it.
speaking of which, before we move on to like stupid white people question and stuff, real quick, I know we mentioned in the pre-show, I think we might have mentioned in this actual show that we are looking into doing a podcast on reservation dogs. If you, dear listener, or anyone that you know is Indigenous and is interested in joining a podcast about this show, we would very much like to talk to you. We love the show very much, and
I have the most respect for
absolutely.
the people who are
And despite the fact that my family all believed that there was a lot more native blood in there, it is not enough for me to feel like I can justify being the Indigenous voice on this. That's not a thing. I would be. Yeah,
definitely not me. I mean, I'm happy to lend my voice just to talk about the show, but just like this. But yeah, I can't be the face of this or that.
Yeah. So we are definitely looking for more Indigenous input on that.
Get in contact. I'm sure.
I mean, and hell, and the only reason I say that I want to do the show is because there's not one out there. If there are Indigenous,
it's a new show.
If there are Indigenous podcasters out there, go watch it. If you haven't seen this show, number one, go watch it. Number two, make a fucking podcast out of it because it's awesome.
And if you aren't going to do it, we're going to do it because we only want to do it because you're not doing it.
Right, exactly. Which is why I did this.
True story. True story.
And and still we're still the only one. So
and I know. And send out a tweet about it.
Ding, ding, ding. 1 year, right?
Beautiful family together. So well, good luck to you guys there. I think that's awesome. That's a good little shout out there.
All right, Linz, before white people question, did you have anything else that you wanted to point out in this episode that you can think of? Did we cover everything?
No.
I one thing I did point out, and I told CR, and I found a picture. The character of Jimmy Rebel, he looks like the image of him
The real
looks like it
person.
was.
I saw
He
him
looked.
too.
He looked like Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
Like so much, because Dean's a fan of old country, so
Jerry Reed played Snowman in the 18-wheeler driver in Smokey and the Bandit. So if you look at him and you look at Jimmy Rebel, you'll notice a very striking similarity.
yeah. He showed me, and I was like, "Oh yeah!" Like the only thing different was the hat.
Yeah, it's in Wikipedia. When you look it up, you're not the only one that thought that. You look up that, so that person, like, yeah, the picture of that person. So that's what the name was.
Yep.
When I was
But yeah, Jerry Reed, as far as I know, was not racist.
yeah.
Like, at least not overtly like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, overtly is exactly the correct.
But Jerry Reed was also amazing musician. Played with Chet Atkins a lot, who is also an amazing guitar player. And he and Chet Atkins would play, and it was just awesome. So, if you have a chance, there's a good video of Jerry Reed playing with Chet Atkins. That's just awesome. Anyway, that's my little moment of music.
I'm sorry. Inside my head, I'm like giggling because like I know that minus the racist overtone, this is the music that you grew up on, like. You immediately are like, oh, that sounds like this one. That sounds like this one.
Oh yeah.
Like the only one I recognized, the one that to me sounded like Johnny Cash, but you were even saying it sounded like someone else.
So they in this episode they had two voices listed, voicing Jimmy Rebel. One his singing voice and one his the character voice. Now most of the singing voice was this very nasally kind of high sounding voice. The one at the end where he's talking about the one good N-word.
The one that sounds like Johnny Cash.
He's very deep voiced, but he sounds like Billy Joe Shaver. Now, if you ever go listen to Billy Joe Shaver, he's
Squidbillies.
He did the theme song for Squidbillies, and it sounds so much like him.
Yeah.
And Billy Joe Shaver has lit his voice as for animation before, so it wouldn't surprise
Squidbillies?
me. Yeah. So yeah, but it doesn't say that.
He's not listed on there. Yeah,
he's not listed at all.
But yeah, it definitely sounds like two different singers. Like two different styles of singing for sure.
Yeah.
And like to me, it felt like they were trying to sound like, a generic country song from back in the day. Yeah. I mean, how could you not essentially parody Johnny Cash when that's what most people who don't listen to country still know who Johnny Cash is.
Oh, sure.
And still basically know, what he sounds like because
a song or two or
or they watched the movie or they'll hear it and they go, oh yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah. I've heard a number of gangster rappers talking about Johnny Cash. Yes. Johnny Cash is a gangster. Shot a man in Reno.
Yeah.
Just to watch him die. Yeah.
Right.
No, he got mad fucking respect. But anyway. All right then. Are we ready for?
I'm ready. If you're ready.
Are you ready? You don't have
ready.
the thing queued up there.
What do you mean? What do you mean I don't have it queued up?
Welcome to Stupid White People Questions.
You mean I'm gonna stay this color?
Amen. Yeah. So, I'm finding, black folks, if you're out there, I know you've had a number of stupid white people questions sent your way. If you have some, feel free to share them with us. You'll hear a phone number at the end. You also have our email address. Send us your stupid white people questions because we want to use them. Because I'm running low.
There's an endless amount that we haven't covered, or
Yeah,
we've covered. We'll put out new shout outs for it too, on TikTok and stuff. It's been a bit.
So anyway, today, I went and found one out on Quora because that's the place where you go to put in any questions. But somebody put in a question: is it racist if I don't want to date outside of my race? And basically find, and there was a backup to say, and find other races unattractive.
So
What is your non-interest based on, though? If it's based on stereotype, if it's based on um, something that is racist, then yes. If it's really just based off of like when you look at somebody, feel a tingle in your neither regions, or you're not interested to know them in a romantic way, it is what it is. Um, but I do, I will tell you, you are missing out on a whole lot. So I will say, you're bad. No, but
Sorry.
I made her snort.
It's like his favorite thing.
but no problem if you didn't like it. No skin off my nose. Um, but hey, that's like I said, I think it's either rooted in something that you haven't dealt with, like it is some stereotype or some bias, which won't make you inherently and all the way racist, but yeah, you're in that realm, you're in that neighborhood. Like I said, on the other side, if it's just like, hey, no, I just, for example, I think if it's a guy asking, because I would feel like it would be, um, uh, I think Halle Berry's pretty, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you think that people are attractive naturally, but you're just not attracted to them, then it is, like I said, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all know that I have been very open about not being around or exposed to a lot of Black culture for most of my life. I have never dated a Black person. And I don't say that because I've never found a Black person attractive, because that's not true. I find Black people attractive all the time. Just somehow in my life, mostly because I meet very few Black people in the places that I go and where I live and all that. Like it's never, I have never been asked out by a Black person. Oh, wait, let me take that back. I have never been respectfully asked out by a Black person before. And I say it that way because bus stop for decades. You know. Right. Like, don't hustle me, dude. That's not going to work here. So, like, that's not real shit. Like, you get to know me and you want to date me. Like, I've never had a Black person take interest in me. And I'm also demi as fuck. So my whole life, I very rarely will get a crush on somebody without already being a friend with them. So if I don't already have, a friend around me, I'm not going to fall for them. It's a weird, and I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what you wouldn't have, but it's just.
Well, I think when I was younger, it was different though. I think when I was younger, I was because I'm still coming to terms with the fact that I'm pretty sure that, and my mom and I actually talked a lot about this last week when we were on our trip, that the separating me from Black culture was intentional, that my dad did not want me to be Black. And I think that without even realizing that I had picked up on all of that, it never entered in my head to date a Black person because I'm not a part of that culture. I'm not a part of that whatever.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to my therapist about this the other day because it bothers me that I've had that experience, that I can honestly say I've never dated a Black person, and I cannot say that about just about any other race. So I don't know. It's also, I don't have the option of dating within my race because I am so, jumbled up together that, like, when I was younger and would get shit from, white people for dating out of my race, I'd be like, okay, then who should I date? Because I'm Black, white, Native, etc. Like, there's so much shit in there that until DNA testing a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, like, we didn't know, So.
Well, yeah, that's what I think, like for me, and where I grew up, when I started liking people or liking opposite sex, it was all, they were all white. And I mean, like I said, my very first serious crush was definitely Joey from freaking New Kids on the Block. And, so it was just, I think it was more of exposure to what I saw on TV and then who I was around and whatnot. Not that I didn't think anybody once that was Black was not attractive, and that lost my virginity to somebody Black. So that wasn't it. But I think for me is that I understood my attraction, understood that it could be somebody Black, could be somebody white, could be somebody Mexican, There probably is only one that I haven't, and that's not because I'm racist against them, but that's just not when I look at. That's just not my preference. Um, but not saying that they're all not that way.
Mhm.
So I don't blame you for, and I don't think anybody should. Anybody should be like, oh no, how could she never said that? Because there's people that are fully black, darker than I am, full black, that have never dated somebody that's of the same race. And whether that is influence, whether that's environment, whether that's their choice, like I said,
Is it a
it
conscious
doesn't matter.
choice, or is it,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
the laws of attraction?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So
who
yeah.
were you exposed to during your sexual discovery? Like when you were starting to form those feelings and what your preferences would be? Like, was it based on you were excluded from this, you were disencouraged from, that,
Yeah.
or like, I know that I don't know for sure that it wasn't until my dad was out in this area that he dated white people, but I'll be perfectly honest with you, my dad was a player and every single one of his girlfriends was black before he started dating, in my mind, because he didn't keep pictures of any of them up until my mom, basically.
Yeah.
Although technically he was on a date with her sister and she decided that he would be better for my mom.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I said, I know yours comes from exposure, experience, or maybe this person's question does as well. But I don't think you would ever ask yourself, were you racist because you haven't, or what I'm saying? Like I don't think that's ever a question. So for me, that's not a red flag, but that is what makes me say, well, there's something rooted in that. If that's what your concern is, instead of being like, that's just not what I'm attracted to.
Well, and the inverse of that is just because you're dating someone outside of your race doesn't mean you're not racist.
Facts. Factual.
Because I've dated a few racists. That was fun. I was a good one.
Right.
That's why I was like, I have so many feelings about this episode because I have been told that I was, oh, you're not like other black people, or you're really a white person. You just like, or what was it that in the episode, God, did I fucking write it down?
That Rebel said
Beneath your skin. Yeah, beneath your skin, you're as white as the whitest man.
Oh yeah.
White as any white man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a compliment.
I know you are,
Yeah.
You're boo.
I would like to ask to reread the question one more time because there's layers to this shit.
Yes.
And I want to get it right.
So and I didn't leave. I just did the main question. It was kind of a backup side question. Is it racist if I don't want to date outside my race? And then and then the side was like, or if I find other races unattractive. I think it was something along those lines.
Yeah, but let's not focus on that yet because that is more of yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a secondary question, like another question, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So to get into the first part, is it racist if I don't want to date outside of my race? I would say no, it's not. Because when you get in an interracial relationship, I'm sure from your very existence, Tiara is going to understand this, but you are going to catch a lot of flack from everybody, all races, all sides of the aisle, everybody. So if you're saying like, listen, I kind of don't want to take on the stress of society judging me, et cetera, I don't want to deal with the cultural bumps because I've talked about this on Trash Talking Podcast. And my husband is probably as woke as you're going to fucking get. But there were times, even with the latest Black Lives Matter movement, where he and I would bump heads about things. Like I very much wanted to get out there and protest, but he's like, "You are a sick little fuck. You can't get out there."
That's Dean.
Yep.
That was Dean. He would be like, "You're not leaving the house, honey. I'm sorry. I know you want to be out there, but I'm not going to let you go."
And then I couldn't leave because I needed to, be here for her.
And if he exposed himself and then to COVID and then came back with COVID, it could kill me because
Anyway,
and there were other things too, though. Oh no, you guys are good. I mean, that's the point. Like, let's all get in on this. But there were other things too, though. Even like things where I would be like, "Yo, are you serious? Are you really saying this shit to me?" Da 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 da. I mean, but with him, I can have conversations and we can come to a new arrival. But I can understand very easily a white person or a black person or a Korean person and a Chinese person or any kind of different ethnicity saying, relationships are hard enough. I really don't want to take on the stressors that come with dating outside of my culture or ethnicity. That's one thing, though. It's another thing, right? It's one thing to say, I don't want to deal with the stress of dating outside of my race or ethnicity. It's another thing to say, I would never date outside of my race or ethnicity. And I'm not trying to call anyone out. If you're listening to this, I love you to pieces, and you know who you are, but I love you to pieces. I had friends, multiple friends in college where this conversation came up in the group. And this is white people, Black people, it's Puerto Rican people. Like, we're all having this conversation, and it came up. And some of my friends were saying they didn't mind smashing outside of their race. Oh, they loved it, but that they would never marry outside of their race. Now, to me, that is racist because we're good enough for you to mate with or, have fun with. My friends in Korea told me that was a thing in Korea. And I'm not speaking for Korean people or anything like that, or that saying this is the norm there. But this is what this bartender who I used to hang out with there told me, that the Korean policy was generally play with whoever you want. We don't care. Like, we really don't care about race or any of that shit. You play however you want, wherever you want, but you marry Korean. And he was saying that in reference to other Asian people. Like, he wasn't even talking about like Black people and stuff. Play how you want, but when it comes time to bring him or her home, you better bring him or her home as a Korean. So,
and there's a lot of cultures that are like that.
Nigerians, our brother said the same thing, that he would have to marry Nigerian, but for him it goes back to his parents, that's to make his parents happy type deal.
Yep. I have a girlfriend she married a Nigerian man, and I know that has been some friction because she's from Guyana. So I know there is some friction there, and his family is working on themselves, which is beautiful. And, but it's stress for her. And then she told me, even being Guyanese, like, because, there's the Indian descent and like, the part of you that's like, Southern American and stuff like that is a whole bubble of issues itself that has caused her a lot of trauma. So I don't want to deal with this shit. I get that. But if you are out here smashing and saying you won't marry someone, though, yeah, you might want to, check your heart out. If I can still understand where your stressors might be, but you're kind of walking the line. But your heart, just like I know my heart. So I can't say you're a racist, but I am going to give you a little bit of a side eye there.
Right.
To say you're just not attracted to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I don't want to keep talking.
No, I was saying, that's what I'm saying. I fully agree. I mean, my oldest son, my 23-year-old, he is, half white. And I definitely understand what you're talking about the struggle. But I also say people are going to talk about you anytime.
Yeah.
Like, it's always going to be hard. So what for me is knowing that I've raised a son who knows that, okay, I may be, lighter in color and whatnot, but I'm still, to the world, I'm a Black man. And so I'm going to make sure that I understand what it means to be that Black man, even though, he does have, like, we make jokes. Like, he always says, Mom, ooh, you're seasoning. Was that pepper? I'm like, yes, son, only pepper. Like, the other side, that is the other side that can't handle that. But we make jokes, but still, like I said, he knows who he is. His girlfriend, who's very much in love with, blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't care. I see how good they are together and how much he loves her. And I don't have a problem with it, but going back to my mother, who's like, well, don't you want him to have somebody that looks like you? I'm sure. Like, one, that'd be weird. Are you talking about skin tone or are you talking about looking? That's weird. But my thing is overall is having him be happy, because I'm not going to be there, to be with him when, later in life. So I definitely understand that. But I feel like if people are really so afraid of what everybody else has to say, buck up. Grow some more balls, do something. Like, life is always going to be hard and people are always going to talk about you. But that also goes back to you're missing out, because interracial, I think, love and children are probably one of the most beautiful things that this world can experience, and that it has to give back to us, So it's too bad, no matter, it's like I said, too bad for them, because you might be missing out on the best vagina or penis of your life. You don't want to know that. So you're bad. Somebody else's opportunity.
Now to get into the other half of it, though, I'm not attracted to black people. I'm not attracted to white people, whatever. If that's really your feeling, like MJ was just saying, you don't get the tingles, whatever, that's fine. But first of all, black people, as you were just saying about your son, or look at Tiara, look at all three of us, we come in a plethora of shades and colors, y'all.
We are not a monolith.
My mom and my sister are. I make jokes with them all the time and call them house and words.
Damn.
Yeah. They know I'm fucking joking though and stuff like that. You know, it's fun and games with us.
Yeah,
like,
that's what we do. I mean, that's how we've been able to get over so much shit. We make
At
jokes.
least you're not calling him Toby.
Yeah.
Not yet. No, but like they know, we all know it's all fun and games, and we are all of the same because we have done ancestry, and my mom is all of us just like 25% European, 74% African, and 1% Native American. Wow, but we are all genetically
Ashkenazi Jew.
That's
Pretty much.
that's the thing that I found out recently that like blows my mind. Like I'm
Couple percent
I'm Jewish.
Ashkenazi Jew.
like that's cool to me. My mom had no idea, but it's like my mom's grandfather or something. I'd have to look, but yeah.
My thing is that you may meet Sally Joe at the grocery store and you may be like, damn, that's the finest bitch I've ever seen. And you know, you're a white guy, you went to Cornell, you live a waspy life. And then, you know, Sally tells you, I'm black. And you're going to be like, what the fuck? Yeah, bitch. Because we come in a plethora of colors, eye colors, hair colors. I wear these gray contacts, but my auntie had gray fucking eyes and all of her kids have green. Well, most of her kids have green eyes. Like so if you're going to get into, I'm not attracted to black people, honey, you haven't met all of the black people out there.
Right, right. You're excluding based on what you're assuming is happening. And that's what makes it racist. You're assuming that somebody is like this because of their skin color.
I mean, you can also look at it. I mean, look at it in the sexuality way. Am I homophobic if I don't want to date another man? No, I'm straight, or mostly anyway. I mean, I have not yet found anybody that has made me feel that way.
But you don't exclude it.
No, I don't exclude it. So yeah, it's the same principle.
Yeah, and understanding that it can be. Go ahead.
I have a fraternity brother whose both his parents are like brown skin, or for the most part light skin, black, and he would pass for white. We have a white fraternity brother that we always say is darker than the black fraternity brother because that's how light he is. Like, and literally, he's not mixed at all. It's both his parents are black, and he just came out with a lighter shade.
That's like those two twin black girls that are one black, one's very white.
One basically has a skin tone like me, and the other one is very pale.
Yeah,
and looks like, you know, an extra from like Anne of Green Gables or something. Beautiful. Like I am like those two gorgeous. Like you can tell by the skin, or not the skin, the hair texture in the lighter. Like you can definitely tell that she got black hair. And then
she would definitely be a Jasmine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a good way to put that. Thank you. It was.
But even still, there's white people who have that black hair. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Like, and they are just
definitely
European straight up and have the same texture, 4C curls and all that. Like, y'all playing a dangerous game when you say this shit.
Yep.
I'm saying.
For sure.
Can confirm.
All right.
Well, anything else?
A lovely 3-hour episode. If you're one of our Patreon patrons, it's a 3-hour episode. If it's not, you have an hour and a half.
I mean, you could have watched it. You could also watch it, you know, or rewatch it. So
right, this is going to be on YouTube or something, right?
It will be on YouTube, yes.
Woo!
And it'll be on Facebook and YouTube.
All right then. So. Okay, y'all got anything coming up? You wanna like, woo?
No more than normal, and we're on almost 3 hours, so I'll shut it out.
I agree.
All right. Thanks again to Damon for joining us last week and covering for us. Make sure you check out our merch because we have really cute t-shirts and shit that you can buy that have like us on it, and we're awesome. So
Yes.
So do.
Yeah. I got
And,
I got ours this.
I almost wore mine today, but then I was like, no, I'm not going to be that person who wears the band shirt to the concert I'm going to.
If I had already worn it, yeah.
I'm ordering mine this week. So.
Hell yeah! I mean, if I hadn't already worn mine a couple times,
yeah,
I got
need
my
to do some laundry.
one. Yeah, so yeah,
Oh, yeah,
hell yeah.
Is it my turn? Is it my turn tonight?
No, it's T's on the
What? Oh,
outro.
no, it's me. Yeah. All right. We'll see you all soon. Thank you for joining us and happy anniversary. We love you.
Happy anniversary. Love you guys.
Yeah, love you.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
Hey, thanks for joining us again as we make our way through the trials and tribulations of the Freeman family. We hope to see you back again next time for Stink Meter 3, Hatocracy.
Want to know where to find us on the social medias or where to subscribe to the podcast? Just head right over to www.theboondockspod.com/links.
Have a stupid white people question you want to leave us? Email us at host@theboondockspod.com or leave us a voicemail at 760-933-8636. That's 760-we-3-undo.
Shout out to the artists who've created our intro and outro tunes. Our intro is #MakeAChange by KIRK. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Our outro is Good Times by Audio Binger. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube.